It's Monday, January the 5th. Today, the protests and mixed reaction in Winnipeg to the U.S. military operation in Venezuela. New transit buses, the expanded fleet coming to the city of Winnipeg. Ribbon Skirt Day, a source of strength and pride for Indigenous women and girls and gender-diverse people. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, Manitoba. Happy Monday. Happy New Year to you as well. It's my first time back in the new year, so I hope you had a great holiday and a wonderful new year. I certainly did. I spent some time in Alberta. It was lovely with my family.
We missed you, and our viewers missed you.
Oh,
got emails being like, why are you here for her?
No, you didn't.
But we did miss you.
It was wonderful. And Sarah Riel is where Ainsley McPhail is live this morning. She's going to tell us about some of the services and the programs available to people, because this is, you know, the holidays are over. A lot of people struggle with the sadness of that happening, as well as some of the other things. You just feel a little bit bluer.
This time of year is bleak.
It's tough.
You know, the brightness of the holidays are done, and we got some cold.
Yeah, there's lots going on. So we're going to have that throughout the morning. But the weather, it was pretty nice. It was foggy this morning in some parts of my drive.
There's actually a fog advisory in effect, Rochelle. But yes, to your point, if you are having a hard time, as I often do this time of year, get outside, enjoy. We actually have a really beautiful week ahead. I really need it because, yes, I find the come down after the holidays pretty tough. Outside, though, it's just -8 degrees. That wind chill making it feel closer to -11. Very light winds, barometric pressure falling, humidity sits at 94%. So a weak impulse that's spreading some light snow throughout southern Manitoba. Slight chance of that, I should say. There's the possibility. Also spreading some strata across, that's creating the possibility of freezing drizzle, and some fog. There's a fog advisory in effect through much of southern Manitoba. Winnipeg isn't included, but it involves areas kind of south of Brandon, and Dauphin is included, much of the Red River Valley. So expect a foggy morning before that lifts into the afternoon. Meanwhile, a weak impulse, as mentioned, that's likely to spread some snowfall. That's what you see there pushing in from Saskatchewan. As it moves in, it brings a good chance of some flurry activity, particularly to the northeast a little later on today. As you see, it kind of pushes up there. We have that little tail end there, bringing a slight chance of some flurry activity for us in the south. Likely we're just going to be very overcast. As you can see, a good blanket of cloud coverage with some lovely temperatures below or above seasonal, a few degrees below freezing. There's what I'm looking for. Into tomorrow, we start to see those clouds dissipate, not only here in southern Manitoba, but to the north as well. And those temperatures stay nice and mild. Let's talk about those temperatures, shall we? -13 is typical high. We are getting up to, actually, this should be -5. Apologies, that did not update. Overnight tonight, we're not fluctuating too much, -10, and then tomorrow we get the sunshine back with similar temperatures.
Thank you, Catherine. We're learning more about the aftermath of a failed hydro line to Pimicikamak Cree Nation in Cross Lake.
200 cases that where some of the houses are not going to be able to, are severely compromised, I would say, meaning that they're unlivable right now.
In a virtual news conference Saturday, Chief David Monia says he's trying to come up with a recovery plan and is looking at about $44 million of repair at the bare minimum. Monia says most of the water pipes, pumps, tanks, even water plants are frozen, with water seeping into electrical sockets and light fixtures. He also said water plants in the south and the north end of the community are also out of commission with major leaks. The Northern First Nation was out of electricity for almost a week after a 300-meter-long power line that runs between two islands in the Nelson River broke. The U.S. said they would run Venezuela, but the current government has already appointed a replacement to their abducted leader, leaving local Venezuelans here worried on what will happen next to their country and their family back home. CTV's Kamil Karamali reports.
Do you miss him?
Of course, all the time.
This is the moment Igor Marin has been waiting for, a spark of hope that his brother could soon be free.
Well, keep the hopes high. He will be released, hopefully, really soon.
Egbert Marin, a high-ranking military official in Venezuela, jailed when he spoke out against the current government, says his brother. But after a pre-dawn military strike Saturday that saw the U.S. abduct Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and take him into custody at a New York City detention center, faith restored for this Canadian family that all political prisoners back home could be released.
Back to the real life, to the normal life under the rule of law.
But that could be years away. Venezuela's government meeting the U.S. with defiance, recognizing Vice President Delcy Rodriguez as Venezuela's acting president. U.S. President Donald Trump has said the U.S. will run Venezuela, but U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio appearing to soften on that stance.
Are you running Venezuela right now?
Here's the bottom line on it is we expect to see changes in Venezuela.
Changes, but how soon? These images from the devastating aftermath, Venezuelan officials claim dozens of military personnel and civilians were killed in the attack. The U.S. has said it's not at war, but will continue to block oil tankers from leaving Venezuela. If the U.S. seizes full control of the country's massive oil reserves, like Trump indicated, it could possibly be felt even in Canada if the U.S. chooses to shift to cheaper Venezuelan crude.
Could mean a flood of new oil, which could undermine prices, and that certainly could undermine the output.
Although no fan of Maduro, Canadians with family in Venezuela worry the U.S. doesn't have their best interests at heart either.
Do you think they really care about the Venezuelan people?
No, that's a very clear answer. No. That brings a lot of stress and concern personally to me and to my family.
The United Nations Security Council now set to meet after calling the U.S. attack a dangerous precedent, while Maduro also expected to make his appearance in federal court Monday.
Mixed reactions to the U.S. military operation in Venezuela were seen in Winnipeg Sunday.
Viva, viva Venezuela!
Peace Alliance Winnipeg held a hands-off Venezuela protest at the intersection of River Avenue and Cordon Street, condemning the U.S. operation. Dozens of protesters gathered at all four corners of the intersection. Some protesters brought U.S. flags and threw them on the roadway, with some vehicles passing the intersection honking. Chair of the organization, Glenn Mitchellchuk, says the operation was illegal, calling federal government to, quote, take a strong stand.
Canada's statement has said while it expects international law to be supported, it is perfectly fine. This is Canada's statement. Perfectly fine that Maduro was removed, and that's not right. If Canada supports international law, then it must demand that President Maduro be repatriated back to Venezuela because he is the president of that country.
Others had opposing views. In an email, one Winnipegger from a local Venezuelan group who is staying anonymous for their family's safety told CTV News that they are, quote, buying the propaganda of the regime. Also at the protest, one man got into a verbal argument with attendees. Prime Minister Mark Carney is among the chorus of world leaders weighing in on the U.S. operation in Venezuela. Carney released a statement Saturday in the wake of Maduro's capture that said in part, quote, Canada has not recognized the illegitimate regime of Maduro since it stole the 2018 election. The Canadian government therefore welcomes the opportunity for freedom, democracy, peace, and prosperity for the Venezuelan people. The Prime Minister also adding, Canada calls on all parties to respect international law. While bald eagles may not be a rare sight in Manitoba, it's not often that you see several dozen at once. But that's exactly what one father and son saw while driving near Niverville on New Year's Eve.
Down the highway, I spotted some eagles there, and we turned around, and I told Logan, I said, Dad, he's got to stop and take some video of this. And we stopped there for about 2-3 minutes and watched them soar around and look at the clouds, and the birds are flying.
Greg Penner was driving to Winnipeg with his son Logan when he stopped and caught this video. He says they spotted 55 bald eagles perched in several trees.
Now seeing these birds all over Manitoba, and in southern Manitoba especially, right, is quite the adventure to see and catch on the side of the highway.
The duo saw the birds of prey 3 kilometers south of the Highway 311 and 59 intersection. 2 more members of the Winnipeg Jets are heading to the Olympics.
Brindley, Olafson, shot, good stop by Hellebuck, loose in front, he spun around. No whistle yet.
Netminder Connor Hellebuck and forward Kyle Connor have been named to the U.S. men's hockey team for the Milano Cortina Olympics next month. Other Jets competing at the Olympics this year include Josh Morrissey for Team Canada and Nino Niederreiter, who will represent Switzerland. Men's hockey at the Olympics runs February 11th to the 22nd. Here's what's happening now in traffic along McPhillip Street. Looks like things are moving quite well starting off this Monday morning. It is a little bit slippery out there, making for perfect conditions. So make sure to give yourself some extra stopping distance from the car in front of you. Let's now go to Ainsley McPhail, who's live this morning at Sarah Riel. Good morning, Ainsley. Happy New Year.
Rochelle, it is so good to hear your voice. Good morning. Happy 2026. We are joining the Sarah Riel Foundation all morning long. Now, as many of us know, they're helping community members with addictions, mental health services, and really working within communities. We're going to talk about 3 programs this morning, including Assist, that has already helped over 240 folks deal with the topic of suicide. Now, that is a very difficult thing to chat about, but that's why we're here. We're breaking the stigma and we're learning about some of those pink flags. We're also learning about compassionate care and healing together. Now, compassionate care is involving getting out into the agencies that work with people struggling through substance abuse and addictions. These are such complex issues, and unfortunately, I can't solve it or explain it all in just a minute's time. We'll see you soon.
Okay, that's understandable. Thank you, Ainsley. Out on the rooftop this morning coming in, Catherine, I noticed not only was it foggy, but the streets are a little bit wet, so it makes for slippery conditions as well.
Yes, the reason for that, Rochelle, there's this kind of weak impulse pushing in from Saskatchewan, and underneath it, a dense amount of stratus, and that is spreading freezing rain, fog throughout much of southern Manitoba, making for the mist we're experiencing here in Winnipeg. Decent temperatures though, -8 degrees, that wind chill feeling more like -11. Light winds, pressure falling, humidity sits at 95%. So this impulse I mentioned likely to spread flurries throughout northern Manitoba, today. It's already falling around the pond, Flin Flon. That'll push further to the east and intensify under cloudy skies. Temperatures in the mid-minus teens for you there. For us in the south, I mentioned that stratus likely causing some mist, maybe freezing rain. It's falling as flurries in Brandon. In fact, there is a fog warning in effect through much of southern Manitoba, the Red River Valley, Westman, Winnipeg not included, but we are foggy. Temperatures, though, nice and mild. While we do have that light chance of flurries, it'll be cloudy with temperatures peaking in the mid-minus single digits. We're going to take a break. We've got so much more Your Morning Winnipeg still to come. Don't go anywhere.
Weather is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
When you give a child a winter coat, you give them the means to go to school on a cold day, a chance to play outside, because no child should be freezing cold. Donate to Coats for Kids. Proudly sponsored by United Way Winnipeg and CTV.
Good morning. The City of Winnipeg is looking to add 27 40-foot battery and fuel cell battery buses to its fleet for a cost of $51 million. The Public Service says there's already room in the budget for 25 of the new buses, and if some other projects have leftover money, it could add 2 more. The buses would be coming from New Flyer Industries, which has already delivered several of the buses in previous years, as the city slowly transitions its fleet to zero-emission buses. And Councillor Russ Wyatt has put forward a motion to reroute the FX3 bus line, which has been causing headaches for some folks in Transcona. Wyatt's motion is asking for the route to be sent down Day Street and Kildare Avenue East instead of Victoria Avenue East, where people have complained about buses rattling their homes and cracks forming in their foundations. Wyatt is also asking the Public Service to report back on possible safety improvements for Victoria Avenue in 2 months rather than 8. All 3 of those motions will be considered at this week's Public Works Committee meeting. A new year and a new scam is hitting Canadians. This time it's targeting seniors who drive and creating all kinds of confusion and concern. CTV's Emma Convey has more.
Lots of drivers on the roads in Halifax today, many of them seniors. Some who thought with the new year came new tests to drive.
I see it on the internet mostly about the changes coming into effect, and I think it's totally wrong. There's lots of good drivers out there as seniors.
He's referring to false information circulating online about new Canadian rules for senior drivers.
In Ontario, there has been discussion about perhaps changing the rules around how drivers are tested as they get older. And so the scammers have taken that little bit of truth, that the fact that they're thinking about it, and turned it into something that making it sound like it's going to happen.
This scam is something the provincial government says they warned the public about.
We thought it was true because it seemed like it was come from the provincial government.
In a statement to CTV News, the province said this is part of a misinformation campaign that's going across Canada. We've heard from several other jurisdictions that they are seeing similar messages to this.
We are seeing this popping up not just in Nova Scotia, but it happened 5 months ago in New Brunswick. It's happened in the fall in Australia.
There are many reasons why these fake campaigns are started. One, according to David Shipley, is to make it look like our society is falling apart.
A number of nation states, Russia, China, Iran, other places, making the West look broken is job number one. The next part of it is it weakens us. Anything that can tear our society apart at a time where we need to be more united than ever.
Or just people causing a stir online to build an audience that will react to these topics over time.
One of the reasons that seniors are vulnerable is that they're often too trusting.
I live in a seniors building, and my sister lives in a building, seniors building, and there's an average of 2 scams per week at my residence.
Emma Convey, CTV News.
If you were at CF Polo Park on Sunday afternoon, you might have seen a wave of people wearing ribbon skirts. The 4th annual National Ribbon Skirt Day event was held on Sunday at CF Polo Park Center Court. It comes from a story of 10-year-old girl Isabella Kulak in Saskatchewan, who was shamed because she wore the skirt to school. One of the organizers for this year's event, Sandra Delarond, says each of the skirts have personal meaning for everyone.
They are really a source of strength and a source of pride, because we've come so far in reclaiming our place, that part of that reclamation is being comfortable expressing who we are as Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people.
Delarond says since the day was recognized, people started to share their ribbon skirts on social media. She hopes to share their cultural understanding to other groups too. The National Ribbon Skirt Day was recognized after Manitoba Senator Mary Jane McCallum's bill got royal assent in 2022. A number of changes to how you get around the city are under consideration over at City Hall. The city is now looking to roll out leading pedestrian intervals at signalized crosswalks across the city. The system lets pedestrians get a head start crossing the street before the lights turn green for vehicles. They were implemented throughout the downtown early in 2025, and the public service says it resulted in fewer near misses between pedestrians and vehicles and no noticeable change to traffic congestion. The public service would still need to do a study to find out which crossings outside of downtown would benefit the most from the new system. We have some road closures to remind you about this morning following the rush. The eastbound curb lane on Broadway will be closed between Hargrave and Smith. Lombard Avenue will be closed from Main to Rory, and the median lanes on Selkirk will be closed between Aikens and Salter. If you have any other traffic tips, please text them to us at 10400.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution.
Casting our eye to the sky, it's looking a bit foggy out there to kick us off on this Monday, but very mild, -8 degrees with that wind chill feels more like -11. Light winds out of the east-northeast, pressure falling, humidity sitting at 95%. So yes, we are dealing with some very mild temperatures to start off your Monday and to start off the week, setting the stage for a lovely week to come. These temperatures were similar to highs we saw last week. As you see in Winnipeg, we're decent, but the rest of the region not terrible either. Morden, Winkler, and Portage La Prairie at -7. A little bit cooler in Brandon and Dauphin at -11 and -14, where you have a bit of snowfall to kick off the day. Cooler to the north with temperatures there in the low -20 degrees, getting as cool as -25. Looking at our wind chill values, not quite as a severe factor as they were the last couple of days, as you can see, barely shifting us around at all. In terms of your school day forecast, as kids head back up for the first time since the holidays, Mother Nature will be giving you some lovely recesses. Overcast, slight chance of rainfall or freezing drizzle, snowfall or freezing drizzle. Forgot what time of year I'm in. As they get to class, -7 degrees, -6 as they take a lunch hour, and -5 as they head home. As mentioned, that flurry risk does persist throughout the day. Likely, though, we're going to stay dry, save for the mist we're seeing out there. Temperatures dipping down to -5 as we start to see some winds pick up out of the south at 15 kilometers per hour. Temperatures not budging too much overnight to -10 degrees. Then tomorrow, the weak impulse that's spreading this sort of instability and potential for precipitation pushes out of our region, leaving behind lots of sunshine. Decent temperatures at a high of -6. And then Wednesday, we're nice and clear, even warmer at -3 degrees. Your Skywatch picture of the day, a gorgeous one taken at the Forks by Letitia. I wanted to get there and I did not, so thank you for taking us there through your camera. Keep those weather pictures coming. We're going to take a break, but we've got so much more Your Morning Winnipeg still to come. Don't go anywhere.
If you're looking to spruce up your house, Your Morning Winnipeg has a contest that could help. The Winnipeg Renovation Show runs January 16th to the 18th at the RBC Convention Centre. And this is your last chance to win tickets. 6 winners will get 4 tickets to the show with VIP seating and a meet and greet with Mike Holmes Jr. Make it right and don't miss out on that chance. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca. Don't forget to enter the keyword renovation. Good luck. You're now legally required to give more space when passing snowplows and cyclists. The province says amendments to the Highway Traffic Act took effect January the 1st. When a plow has its blue lights activated, you now need to stay back 30 meters when the speed limit is 80 kilometers an hour or less. When the speed limit is above 80, you need to stay back 100 meters. You're also prohibited from passing if the view is obstructed or if passing could interfere with their work. You also need to give at least 1 meter of space when passing cyclists. Canada is on track to accept fewer new residents, international students, and temporary workers in 2026. It's part of the federal government's efforts to reduce immigration levels. CTV's Rachel Aiello reports.
For many wanting to call Canada home, the latest immigration levels plan has injected uncertainty into the year ahead. For example, the federal government is cutting the number of international students it'll accept this year in half. A reduction this PhD candidate, who came to Canada from Iran in 2021 to do cancer research, says while necessary, has left many prospective students in limbo.
They don't feel welcomed here. They were invited to come here. They were accepted to come here. And now they're just caught in this perfect storm.
Canada will also be accepting fewer temporary workers this year.
They're more focused on labor shortages now.
Overall, the government plans to admit 380,000 permanent residents in 2026, down from the target of 395,000 admissions in 2025.
There's always winners and losers. The winners are going to be the Canadians, particularly the young Canadians looking for that entry-level job that has been occupied by a foreign national. The losers are going to be the foreign nationals who came here with false promises of permanent residence.
While it may be shaping up to be a challenging year for the thousands with temporary status who can't stay, Canada is offering express entry for prospective newcomers who speak French or have skills in key sectors, such as trades, agriculture, engineering, education, and healthcare.
Instead of a broad, open arms approach to immigration, it's more selective now. It's more focused on ensuring that the economy can absorb their permanent residents and the workers coming in.
Linked to the shift towards prioritizing economic immigrants is a plan to spend more than $1 billion on a new international talent attraction strategy to incentivize leading researchers and innovators to come to Canada.
This is what it looks like at Main and Broadway. It's a good start to the Monday morning. We'll be back after this short break. Catherine, it's going to feel like a pretty mild week this week.
A far cry from what we were seeing yesterday, Rochelle. You were right to be gone because, wow, it was quite chilly. And I love this because I always find that first kind of like week back to the swing of things is so tough. So it's nice to have a little bit of reprieve in terms of temperatures. However, it is a bit misty out there, -8 degrees. That wind chill barely moving the needle. When the winds are out of the east-northeast, pressure falling, humidity sits at 95%. So we've been talking about this weak impulse pushing in from Saskatchewan. That's amounting to some flurry activity pushing into northern Manitoba. It's already shown up in the paw. But on the other side of it, on the back end of it rather, there's some stratus that's also spreading freezing rain, fog. That's triggered a fog warning in effect through much of southern Manitoba. And likely a slight chance of some flurry activity for us. Likely we're going to be staying dry. Temperatures, though, nice and mild. In Winnipeg, we're looking at a high of -5 degrees. -15 is a more typical high. So we're doing pretty well in terms of our values. Winds staying pretty light and that slight chance of flurry activity off and on throughout the day. It persists overnight as well. Temperatures dipping down to -10 as skies remain pretty cloudy. But tomorrow we start to see the clouds reemerge. Temperatures get a slight bit cooler at -6 degrees. Those winds staying mild. From there, we're getting even warmer, if you can believe it. We're looking at lots of sunshine on the back half of this work week, -3 and -4 degrees respectively on Wednesday and Thursday. We start to lose a little bit of heat into the weekend under a mix of sun and cloud, but we rebound nicely on Sunday with a high of -6.
Thanks, Catherine. Canadians reacted in large numbers after the capture of President Nicolas Maduro by the U.S., with rallies across the country, raising questions about how developments in South America could impact our future relations with the U.S. and possibly spark an increase in Venezuelan refugees. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth reports.
He has also threatened Colombia.
More than 100 people gathered in Halifax to show support for Venezuelan sovereignty.
I'm here today to denounce the role that U.S. imperialism, and actually more broadly, Western imperialism is playing.
But the anti-U.S. sentiment was not unanimous.
I came for a reason.
This rally was interrupted by a Venezuelan immigrant who came to Canada in 2006.
Yesterday was the greatest day of my life. I only got 1 hour sleep and I was so happy.
There were numerous similar public gatherings across the country, including in Ottawa and Winnipeg.
If Canada supports international law, then it must demand that President Maduro be repatriated back to Venezuela because he is the president of that country.
The U.S. operation against Venezuela has resulted in a wave of Canadian reaction.
I'm not raising alarm bells recklessly.
Mount St. Vincent University political science professor Jeff McLeod says it's a wake-up call on how U.S. President Donald Trump's foreign policy could impact other countries.
He's talked about annexing Canada, Greenland, and so many things that it's hard to recall them all. So when a president of the United States muses about taking unilateral action that could impact the sovereignty of any country, you have to take that seriously.
Beyond the immediate geopolitical implications, there are also mounting concerns this action by the U.S. could further worsen the Venezuelan refugee crisis.
You will see a continued pressure for out-migration from that country.
Dalhousie University professor Robert Hewish says, for now, most Venezuelan refugees migrate to nearby countries.
Colombia, Peru, Ecuador, Brazil.
But according to Hewish, if the U.S. tries to organize a government in Venezuela, that could spark an increase in refugees attempting to flee away from the region and to Canada instead in the near future. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Snow removal equipment was out in force early this morning across Winnipeg. Front-end loaders, graders, and other plowing equipment was out overnight on the city's major streets. The blitz started Saturday evening on sidewalks and pathways. It moved to main routes Sunday evening. The city says crews are working based on a street priority system. Drivers are reminded to drive to conditions and use caution around the heavy equipment. For the third year in a row, Czechia has ended Canada's gold medal hopes at the World Juniors.
Feeds it in for Curran, moving in. Curran with a chance. Rebound, loses from the score. With 1:14 to go, the Czechs have retaken the lead.
Czechia scored the go-ahead goal late in the third, then added an empty netter to win 6-4. Canada had opportunities to take control of the game, including 2 chances at a penalty shot, but they still couldn't capitalize. Canada has a chance at a podium finish if they can beat Finland today for 3rd place. That game goes at 3:30 Manitoba time on TSN.
Lines in, it scores!
Sweden beat Finland 4-3 in a shootout to book their place in today's gold medal game. Sweden and Czechia played for bronze in last year's tournament. This time around, they will be playing with gold on the line. The most popular cat and dog names of 2025 have some striking similarities. 6 of the top 10 pet names in Winnipeg make an appearance on both lists. The top dog name of 2025 was Luna, which is also the top cat name. That's according to data shared by Winnipeg Animal Services to CTV News. The second most registered dog name was Bella, followed by Charlie, Daisy, Molly, Max, Lucy, Bailey, Milo, and Cooper. And taking a look at the next most common cat names, coming in second after Luna is Charlie, followed by Milo, Lily, Oreo, Bella, Lucy, Oliver, Loki, and Max. And the province has revealed the top baby names of the past year. As of December 23rd, Olivia topped the list of girls' names once again. That was followed by Emma and Sophia, which were also in the top 3 the year before. Charlotte and Ava round out the top 5. Not far behind were Ellie, Violet, Lily, Ella, and Amelia. On the boys' side, Noah was once again the most popular name, followed by Oliver and Liam. Oliver replaced Theodore in the top 3, but it's not far behind at number 4. And Levi takes the 5th spot, unchanged from 2024. Those were followed by Jack, Elijah, William, Lucas, and Ethan. Love all those names. Here's a look at what's going on now on Portage Avenue at Polo Park. Looks like the streets are a little bit snow covered in some parts, and that could make for some slick conditions on the road. So please be careful when you head out this morning. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average stands at $1.22. The provincial average is lower at $1.11. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.10, and the lowest price in Winnipeg is $1.04. All this info is on GasBuddy.com. Coming up, Ainsley McPhail is live at CERB Riel, telling us all about the programs and how it supports the community. Stay with us.
It's a misty and foggy start to our day here in Winnipeg and through much of southern Manitoba. We're at -8 degrees though, so it's nice and mild. Slight wind chill factor in effect. As mentioned, that mist is lingering. Winds are light, pressure falling, humidity sits at 95%. Let's start to the north and work our way down, shall we? Northern Manitoba, an impulse pushing in, not punching in, from the west, bringing likely some flurry activity through you off and on throughout the day. Today is going to be a challenge. It's already started in the Flin-Flon region. It'll push and slightly intensify as it moves to the east. So look for a snowy day. Have those shovels handy. Temperatures will be in the peaking in the low to mid -20s. For us here in southern Manitoba, totally different story. On the back end of that, we're dealing with some stratus. That is spreading potential for freezing rain, maybe some flurries. This fog, in fact, it's prompted some fog warnings in effect through much of southern Manitoba. Temperatures are nice and mild at -5 in Winnipeg. We do have a slight chance of flurry activity, but likely we're going to stay dry. We're going to check in with CTV's Ainsley McPhail, who's spending her morning at CERB Riel. What's going on there, Ainsley?
Good morning, Catherine. Good morning, Manitoba. I hope you had a rested holiday season and we're taking you into the new year. We're at the CERB Riel Foundation, and Dave Stewart is joining me to tell us all about what they do. Lots of people have heard of CERB Riel, but tell us about this foundation and all that it encompasses.
All right. Well, the CERB Riel, what we do for folks who are struggling with mental health and addictions, we do a great job of helping them out. But we know that mental health and addiction is not just an individual sort of issue. It belongs to the community. It belongs to neighborhoods. It belongs to families. And so how do we get across to a wider range our common or core values of compassion, respect, and recovery? So we started in the foundation a training program called SR Training, and we do trainings in peer support, in crisis management, in suicide prevention, in addictions care and mental health. So, yeah.
And a lot of it's about building relationships with community as well. So many community partners, hundreds of people have been able to take advantage of these programs. Tell us a little bit about that arm of it.
Well, so part of it was that it's difficult sometimes to find trainings in some of these places, and we've looked in some of them into suicide prevention and found that ASSIST was the best training to be out there, the most standardized across the world. And then we looked at some compassion training in addictions, and it was difficult to find. There was lots of information that they gave us on statistics and what was going on, but really nothing that helped us to relate to that person who's sitting across from us. And so we developed our own called Compassionate Care. Yeah.
And there's going to be an opportunity for people to sign up and for their families to even take part.
Yeah, so from Compassionate Care, we reduced sort of the amount and took out some of the technical stuff, and we have Healing Together, which is for families of folks who are struggling, friends and families who have loved ones who are struggling with mental health and addictions.
And unfortunately, so many Manitobans are dealing with this. Sarah Riel's website is going to provide those resources for you if you're at home and you're one of those individuals. Stay with us on CTV's Your Morning.
A look at the early markets this morning. The Dow Jones is up 23 points. The Nasdaq added 187 points. The S&P index is slightly up 21 points. The Canadian dollar fell a little to 72.64 cents U.S. overseas. The Hang Seng is flat. The Nikkei jumped 1,493 points. Good morning. It is 6:46. A synagogue in Winnipeg was vandalized with graffiti, including several swastika symbols on its front entrance and wall.
This particular act is especially concerning. It's frightening and it's shocking, actually.
Two swastika symbols blurred out in this photo were spray painted early Friday morning at Congregation Sherry Zedek. Executive Director Rena Sector Elbaz says there has been acts of vandalism in the past, but with heightened anti-Semitism around the world, it could be the tip of the iceberg. Attempts were made to remove the graffiti, and while the paint on glass doors were removed, graffiti on the exterior wall seeped into it and will need special products to remove it. Elbaz added this action brings unity to the Jewish community.
I grew up with people from other communities. They reached out to me when they heard about it. I feel like if all people who have good faith stand together, we can put out this darkness.
Elbaz said a report has been made to the police. In an email to CTV News, the Winnipeg Police Service confirmed a report of graffiti on a building in the 500 block of Wellington Crescent. The Major Crimes Unit is investigating the incident. A Palestinian-owned business says it's also reported a vandalism incident to police. In an Instagram post, Hababiz Cafe says someone had allegedly been breaking windows early Sunday morning at its Portage Avenue restaurant. The post shows an image of someone dressed in black apparently swinging a hammer at around 4:40 a.m. The restaurant also says someone left a hand-printed sign with what is being called a racist and Islamophobic message. CTV News has reached out to police regarding this incident. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham has condemned the vandalism at both the Sherry Zedek Synagogue and the Hababiz Cafe on social media. He says though the victims are from different backgrounds, the intent was the same, to intimidate Jewish and Palestinian Winnipeggers. He adds, quote, "We cannot let that happen. An attack on a place of worship or a local family business is an attack on the safety of every citizen." Gillingham goes on to say police are investigating both incidents and ask the public to contact the WPS with any information about either incident. Denmark's prime minister is speaking out, telling U.S. President Donald Trump to stop the threats about taking over Greenland. Donald Trump is not backing down.
Right now, Greenland is covered with Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it.
Trump's comments come after Katie Miller, the wife of Donald Trump's deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller, posted this image to X. It shows Greenland covered with an American flag and the word soon. Greenland's prime minister has called the post disrespectful. The Prime Minister of Denmark posted to social media, writing, quote, "When the President of the United States talks about needing Greenland and connects us with Venezuela and military intervention, it's not just wrong, it is disrespectful." More than 40,000 Volvo vehicles have been recalled over a software problem. For some cars and SUVs, the rear view camera image doesn't show up when in reverse. Models from 2021 to 2025 are affected. Volvo says it will notify owners by mail and issue a software update. We have some road closures to remind you about this morning following the rush. The eastbound curb lane on Broadway will be closed between Hargrave and Smith. Lombard Avenue will be closed from Main to Rory, and the median lanes on Selkirk will be closed between Aikens and Salter. If you have any other traffic tips, please text them to us.
It's a bit of a foggy, misty start to your Monday, but it's nice and cool out there. Mild is what I meant to say. -8 degrees with that wind chill feels more like -11. Winds are light out of the east-northeast. Pressure is falling. Humidity sitting at 95%. So we're dealing with the system that's spreading potential for some freezing rain, maybe some flurry activity, and some fog throughout southern Manitoba. In fact, we have a fog warning in effect through much of southern Manitoba. It doesn't pick up on our radar, but a good amount of cloud coverage does. Meantime, with that system, we're dealing with a weak impulse that is likely going to be spreading some flurry activity to areas of northern Manitoba. This region included Thompson Island Lake and Gillam. Churchill, though, staying pretty sunny at -24. Temperatures there are pretty cool. Likely that snowfall will also begin in the northwest earlier this morning, I should say. It's already begun in Opaskwayak, Cree Nation, and the Paw and Flin Flon. Temperatures there a little bit more mild, -14 degrees there, -16 in Flin Flon, cooler in Lynn Lake at -20. Excuse me. Got a cough. In southwestern Manitoba, where that fog advisory is in effect, you're likely to see a good amount of fog and maybe some mist in Brandon throughout the day. Neepawa, though, a little bit cloudier at -4 degrees, -9 in Dauphin, -12 in Swan River. For us here in south central Manitoba, above seasonal values, -5 degrees in Steinbach and Morden and Winkler, Portage la Prairie at -7, -8 in Gimli. Over in Kenora, -7 degrees with cloudy skies. Red Lake, Dryden, much the same in terms of your sky conditions. A little bit cooler in Red Lake, -4 in Fort Francis. Overnight tonight, we see that potential for some flurry activity continued. Likely we're going to stay pretty dry under those cloudy skies. Temperatures dipping down to -10. Tomorrow, though, we get that sunshine back. A mix of sun and cloud with a high of -6. Even warmer on Wednesday at clear sunny skies, or Cunny, the word I just made up, at -3 degrees. Cunny, I like that one.
Thank you, Catherine. Let's check in now on the team at 103.1 Virgin Radio. Hi, guys. Happy Monday. Happy New Year.
Happy New
Year.
3, 2, 1. Happy New Year.
We got to work on that.
We do have to work on that. We hope that you had a really wonderful time off. Listen, Lloyd and I were at work last week, and we feel re-energized.
I feel good.
We feel like we're ahead of, we're not bragging, but we feel like we're ahead of the game because we were at work all last week. But so we are very excited to jump into 2026. And we were thinking about it, right? Like, what will happen this year? When you look back at 2025, I mean, you couldn't predict all of the things that happened either locally in Manitoba or across the world, right? But if you wanted to try and predict something, what would that be? And so Lloyd and I started thinking about, let's do a prediction for either Winnipeg or Manitoba, and then let's just do another random prediction for 2026. So why don't you give me one? I'll go next. We'll go back and forth.
Okay. So dominating a lot of the headlines last year in music was Taylor Swift.
Right, obviously.
I feel that this year is going to be the year of BTS. I think they've all finished their stints in the army.
Yeah.
I think the K-pop Demon Hunters fad kept that momentum going for K-pop. And I think BTS is going to have a standout year.
Okay.
Cool.
I think in terms of food, this is kind of cheap, but fiber. We know protein was huge the last couple of years. Now fiber is going to be even bigger.
It's already big with me.
Right? Okay.
I love fiber.
Also for events, we've hosted the Fire Paramedic Games. We've hosted also the Grey Cup. I think we are due for a Junos. They go in Hamilton this year, but I think Winnipeg is due. Lloyd, you got another prediction?
Yeah, so sports has been a little bit tough in Winnipeg as of late. But I am going to predict this. Winnipeg Sea Bears are going to win the CEBL championship. They made some big signings. Xavier Moon, he's going to lead us to the promised land.
I also predict that Bo will be back on this Friday. Welcome back, Bo.
Brand new legs.
Happy new knee.
Happy new knee.
Thank you, guys.
He's
Looking
even
good,
funnier.
Good to see you. All right, well, thanks, you guys. Have a good week. The Canada Revenue Agency is trying to recoup roughly $10 billion in COVID benefits. It says were paid to people who were later found to be ineligible. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has more on a New Brunswick father who's been told he must pay back $13,000.
In the spring of 2020, during COVID-19 restrictions, Brendan Whitney took a leave of absence as a travel consultant to stay home with his 10-year-old son.
His school was closed, and I had no other form of childcare. He was my primary custody was with me.
Whitney applied for CERB, the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, and the Canada Recovery Caregiving Benefit. He was paid thousands of dollars during the COVID shutdowns.
I would have been receiving the second round in September of 2020.
But now he's receiving letters and collection calls from the Canada Revenue Agency looking to get that money back.
The federal government is now requesting immediate payment of $13,000. They claim that I was not eligible for any of the benefits that I received.
Whitney has been told he was not employed the day before the benefit period started, meaning he was ineligible.
That's just not the case.
Whitney has also forwarded his records of employment to clear up any confusion. He's also requested phone meetings with CRA.
One real CRA agent has had a look at this thing one time, on my file, I mean. And the rest of it's been automated.
According to this accountant, Whitney should be braced for a long and thorough process.
This man needs somebody working with him. He shouldn't be doing this by himself. A lawyer, a tax lawyer, an accountant, anybody.
Whitney says the stress over this situation has been mounting daily.
It doesn't make you feel very good about yourself being treated as if you're lying to them. And that you did something wrong when in fact all you did was apply for a benefit that you checked all the boxes for.
He calls the process unfair and says he's done nothing wrong. CTV has reached out to the CRA multiple times, but the agency did not provide a response by our deadline. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
That's what it looks like on the Provencher Bridge. A little slick in some parts of the city this morning, so be mindful of that. We're going to take a break here. We'll be back with your 7 o'clock headlines. It's Monday, January the 5th. Today, Venezuela in turmoil. Local Venezuelans fear what comes next as power shifts after a sudden U.S. military strike. Plus, more transit changes. Winnipeg moves toward zero-emission buses as Transcona residents raise concerns about routes. And Olympic ice dreams. More Winnipeg Jets are Olympic-bound as Connor Hellebuck and Kyle Connor make Team USA. Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning, Manitoba. It is 7 o'clock on your Monday morning. Thank you so much for being with us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. It's the time of year when we make New Year's resolutions. Did you make any this year, Catherine?
Yeah, this is going to sound negative, but it's not. I want to start saying no more because I take on way too much and get pretty kind of run down as a result.
Yeah.
So I just want to be a little bit more selective. Yeah, just to preserve my own energy and
Absolutely. Well, I made one 3 years ago and I keep doing it every year. I donate blood every 3 months and it's
a good one.
And so I keep doing it. And so it's one that I know that I can meet that goal. But a lot of people put some goals that are really tough to keep.
Too ambitious.
Yeah, so we're going to find out a little bit more on how to keep those goals going beyond February and keep those New Year's resolutions alive. And one of the New Year's resolutions that I think is good for many people is to go outside and walk and do some fresh air activities. It's going to be a good week for that.
That's right. Sorry, what's going on with my mic here? It's so necessary for our mental health to get outside and and to get that vitamin D, that fresh air, and it can be so difficult. But this week is going to make it darn easy on us because it is so beautiful to kick us off in terms of our temperatures, I should say. A little bit misty out there, which I do find beautiful, I should say. It's -8 with that wind chill, feels more like -11. Winds out of the east-northeast, barometric falling, humidity at 95%. So we are dealing with a fog warning. I'm not sure why these ones disappeared, but it's basically dealing with everything south of us in Manitoba. So likely this is because of the stratus that's pushed into our region on the back end of an impulse that's going to be spreading snow in northern Manitoba. We too could be getting a little bit of that. We are, however, getting a good amount of cloud coverage. You can see it there. Not picking up, though, is that fog, that drizzle, and in certain areas, snowfall to kick off the day already in Brandon and Nipawa, many areas in West Man, while northern Manitoba, you too are likely to get a good amount of snowfall. So this is from this stratus this impulse I mentioned. It's right there over Saskatchewan. As the day progresses, you start to see it push in. It's already bringing a little bit of snowfall to the west, and that'll to northwest in the Paw, Flin Flon areas like that. It'll intensify throughout the day and push further into the east. We have that slight chance of some snowfall off and on throughout the day. Likely we're just going to be overcast temperatures, very mild to the tune of about -5 degrees. And then tomorrow we clear out nicely, so we hang on to that warmth and get a little bit of sunshine, and that just continues through the rest of the week. A reminder, about -13, -14 is a typical high. Nowhere near that today at -5. Tomorrow we get a little bit cooler at -6 under a mix of sun and cloud, but then we heat up again by midweek. Your weather art of the day by 6-year-old Nora. In my very unbiased view, this is my niece. She's incredibly talented. Thank you so much for submitting, and keep your weather pictures coming to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
We're learning more about the aftermath of a failed hydro line to Pimit-Chikamak Cree Nation in Cross Lake.
200 cases that where some of the houses are not going to be able to, are severely compromised, I would say, meaning that they're unlivable right now.
In a virtual news conference Saturday, Chief David Monia says he is trying to come up with a recovery plan, and he's looking at about $44 million of repair at the bare minimum. Most of the water pipes, pumps, tanks, even water plants are frozen, with water seeping into electrical sockets and light fixtures, Monia said. He also said water plants in the south and the north end of the community are also out of commission with major leaks. The Northern First Nation was out of electricity for almost a week after a 300-meter long power line that runs between two islands in the Nelson River broke. The U.S. said they would run Venezuela, but the current government has already appointed a replacement to their abducted leader, leading local Venezuelans here worried on what will happen next to their country and their family back home. Kamel Karamali reports.
Do you miss him? Of course, all the time.
This is the moment Igor Marin has been waiting for, a spark of hope that his brother could soon be free.
Well, keep the hopes high. He will be released, hopefully, really soon.
Egbert Marin, a high-ranking military official in Venezuela, jailed when he spoke out against the current government, says his brother. But after a pre-dawn military strike Saturday that saw the U.S. abduct Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and take him into custody at a New York City detention center, faith restored for this Canadian family that all political prisoners back home could be released.
Back to the real life, to the normal life under the rule of law.
But that could be years away. Venezuela's government meeting the U.S. with defiance, recognizing Vice President Delcy Rodriguez as Venezuela's acting president. U.S. President Donald Trump has said the U.S. will run Venezuela, but U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio appearing to soften on that stance.
Are you running Venezuela right now?
Here's the bottom line on it is we expect to see changes in Venezuela.
Changes, but how soon? These images from the devastating aftermath, Venezuelan officials claim dozens of military personnel and civilians were killed in the attack. The U.S. has said it's not at war, but will continue to block oil tankers from leaving Venezuela. If the U.S. seizes full control of the country's massive oil reserves, like Trump indicated, it could possibly be felt even in Canada. Canada if the U.S. chooses to shift to cheaper Venezuelan crude.
Could mean a flood of new oil, which could undermine prices, and that certainly could undermine the output.
Although no fan of Maduro, Canadians with family in Venezuela worry the U.S. doesn't have their best interests at heart either.
Do you think they really care about the Venezuelan people?
No, that's a very clear answer. No. That brings a lot of stress and concern personally to me and to my family.
The United Nations Security Council now set to meet after calling the U.S. attack a dangerous precedent, while Maduro also expected to make his appearance in federal court Monday.
Mixed reactions to U.S. military operation in Venezuela were seen in Winnipeg Sunday.
Viva, viva Venezuela!
Peace Alliance Winnipeg held a hands-off Venezuela protest at the intersection of River Avenue and Osborne Street, condemning the U.S. operation. Dozens of protesters gathered at all four corners of the intersection. Some protesters brought U.S. flags and threw them on the roadway, with some vehicles passing the intersection honking. Chair of the organization, Glenn Mikulchuk, says the operation was illegal, calling federal government to, quote, take a strong stand.
Canada's statement has said while it expects international law to be supported, it is perfectly fine. This is Canada's statement. Perfectly fine that Maduro was removed, and that's not right. If Canada supports international law, then it must demand that President Maduro be repatriated back to Venezuela because he is the president of that country.
Others had opposing views. In an email, one Winnipegger from a local Venezuelan group who is staying anonymous for their family's safety told CTV News that they are, quote, buying the propaganda of the regime. Also at the protest, one man got into a verbal argument with attendees. New this morning, Canada's former Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland has been named Ukraine's Economic Development Advisor. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky made the announcement this morning on social media, writing, quote, Ukraine needs to strengthen its internal resilience, both for the sake of Ukraine's recovery if diplomacy delivers results as swiftly as possible, and to reinforce our defense if, because of delays by our partners, it takes longer to bring this war to an end. He adds that Freeland has experience in attracting investment and is highly skilled at implementing economic transformations. Here's what's happening now in traffic along Confusion Corner. Things are starting to pick up here this Monday morning. If you see any problems out on the streets, please let us know.
Realizing U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for a U.S.-led revival of Venezuela's beleaguered oil industry could be a years-long and challenging process costing upwards of $100 billion U.S. Years of corruption, underinvestment, fire, and thefts have left the nation's crude infrastructure in tatters. Rebuilding it enough to lift Venezuela's output back to its peak levels of the 70s would require companies that could include Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips to invest about $10 billion per year over the next decade, according to Francisco Minaldi, Director of Latin American Energy Policy at Rice University. Now, former federal minister Chrystia Freeland has been appointed as an economic advisor by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Freeland, who has Ukrainian ancestry, has expressed her support for Ukraine amid its war with Russia and has said the country could become an economic juggernaut by taking up the opportunities it missed after the collapse of the Soviet Union. She resigned as a cabinet minister in September, but remains a Toronto MP. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
Now that we're in the month of January and the holidays are officially over, this could be a really sad time for many people. Ainsley, you are live at CERB Riel, where they are there to support people through this time of year. Good morning.
Good morning, Rochelle. Yeah, not only that, but even during the holiday season, so many people struggling with mental health and addiction, substance use, and CERB Riel Foundation has these courses and programs to really help community get out into the broader community and the agencies who are then supporting the people suffering through these addictions and substance abuse issues. Now, Assist is one of those programs. I read one of their stats today that 5% of folks have thought of suicide, and about 1% of the Canadian population will pass away of this. Now, this is obviously very serious stuff, but that's what we're doing today. We're breaking down barriers, we're getting through the stigma, and we're having those really real conversations. Stay with us at 7:27.
Okay, thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. How's it feeling out there, Catherine?
It feels lovely, and you know what? Caring for our mental health for me involves going outside. It is so helpful when we step out and it doesn't feel like we immediately want to run back in the other direction, that the air isn't hurting our face. Definitely not the case today. It's -8 with that wind chill, feels more like -10. Quite foggy and misty out here in Winnipeg. There is a yellow fog advisory. Let me think of that. Yes, yellow fog advisory currently through much of southern Manitoba. Winds are light out of the east, pressure falling. Humidity sits at 94%. So in the north, you're going to be dealing with a light disruption there, likely to spread a good amount of flurry activity throughout the day. It's already falling in the Paw and Flin Flon areas in the northwest. It'll fan out and move into the northeast throughout the day, bringing a good chance of that flurry activity. Temperatures quite cool in the low to mid -20 degree mark. Of course, that wind chill value pretty rough this morning, making it feel upwards of -30. For us here in the south, totally different story. Underneath that impulse that's causing those flurries, we have some stratus. That is what's spreading this fog, maybe some freezing rain. For Brandon and Nipoa, you're already seeing some flurry activity. We could be seeing that throughout the day in Winnipeg. Likely, though, it's just going to be cloudy, above seasonal values, though, with a high of -5.
Weather is brought to you by Blinds Are Beautiful. Our new Hunter Douglas showroom is at 900 Lorimer.
Thanks, Catherine. It's time now for our question of the day. Today is National Screenwriters Day, so we're asking, what's your all-time favorite movie? You can text your answer to 10400. Make sure to follow the automated instructions so we can feature your response, and don't forget to include your name, please. At Your Morning Winnipeg, we're all about celebrating your amazing pets, furry, feathered, or scaly. Your Pet of the Week submissions are amazing. We want to see more, whether it's dogs, cats, birds, or any other pet pals. Send them our way. Drop your pet photos and a fun little story about them to petoftheweek@ctv.ca, and then catch us every Thursday to find out if your pet is our Pet of the Week on Your Morning Winnipeg. Here's what's happening now on Notre Dame Avenue. It's a great start to your Monday morning. We'll be back after this.
We all know just how cold Manitoba winters can be. Imagine not having a winter coat, boots, a toque, or mitts, and stepping out into the cold. That's the reality for many kids. But you can change that. Give the gift of warmth. Donate to Coats for Kids.
Good morning. A man is facing charges following a frightening robbery at a fast food restaurant near CF Polo Park. Police say it happened Thursday afternoon when a suspect allegedly demanded money and threatened to shoot the employees at this A&W near St. James Street. Police say he then went behind the counter and, after being unable to open the cash register, stole burgers and fries that were still cooking. The employees retreated to safety and no one was hurt. Officers caught up with him not long after, finding him on a transit bus eating the food. A 29-year-old man is charged with robbery and possession of property obtained by crime. The City of Winnipeg is looking to add 27 40-foot battery and fuel cell battery buses to its fleet for a cost of $51 million. The Public Service says there's already room in the budget for 25 of the new buses, and if some other projects have leftover money, it could add 2 more. The buses would be coming from New Flyer Industries, which has already delivered several of the buses in previous years as the city slowly transitions its fleet to zero-emission buses. And Councillor Russ Wyatt has put forward a motion to reroute the FX3 bus line, which has been causing headaches for some folks in Transcona. Wyatt's motion is asking for the route be sent down Day Street and Kildare Avenue East instead of Victoria Avenue East, where people have complained about buses rattling their homes and cracks forming in their foundations. Wyatt is also asking the Public Service to report back on possible safety improvements for Victoria Avenue in 2 months rather than 8. All 3 of those options will be considered at this week's Public Works Committee meeting. 2 more members of the Winnipeg Jets are heading to the Olympics.
Brindley, Olafson, shot, good stop by Hellebuck, loose in front, he spun around. No whistle yet.
Netminder Connor Hellebuck and forward Kyle Connor have been named to the U.S. men's hockey team for the Milano Cortina Olympics next month. Other Jets competing at the Olympics this year include Josh Morrissey for Team Canada and Nino Niederreiter, who will represent Switzerland. Men's hockey at the Olympics runs February 11th to the 22nd. Here's what's happening now in traffic along Keniston and Sterling Lion Way. It looks like things are moving well here. We have no issues to tell you about at this point in the drive this morning. If you see anything out there, though, please give us a heads up.
Traffic is brought to you by Curtis Carpets, Manitoba's flooring experts.
In entertainment news, we got some big news out of the box office for James Cameron this weekend. The third Avatar film has joined the first two in securing more than $1 billion US in ticket sales. The achievement comes after 18 days in theaters and dominating the box office throughout the holiday season. It looks like a new Top Gun movie will be able to go ahead despite a dispute over the story rights.
Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking.
Deadline reports a trio of U.S. judges has quashed a copyright infringement lawsuit from the estate of the journalist who penned the original piece that inspired the first Top Gun movie. An appeals court says the smash hit sequel, Top Gun Maverick, did not share sufficient content with the original to allow for a suit to go forward. And this collaboration is what dreams are made of.
We just made a whole entire album together.
Yeah, but you don't sing on it.
There's a little backgrounds here and there.
Like, so tucked away.
We collabed on 3 kids.
We did.
That was
Hilary
my
Duff and her
favorite
husband Matthew Coma chatted with Apple Music about working on her latest record together. Luck or Something is out February 20th. Duff is about to head out on a tour called Small Rooms, Big Nerves, starting in 2 weeks. She's making one Canadian stop in Toronto, January 24th at History. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 tonight with St. Denis Medical. The Big Bang Theory is on at 7:30. Then back-to-back at 8 and 9. Catch 911. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution.
Going back to the Top Gun story, I'm sure producers are watching. Please bring back Meg Ryan for the next one. Please. I missed her. Okay, speaking of nothing to do with Meg Ryan, it is quite warm outside, -8 degrees, warm like she is on screen. -10 with the wind chill. It is misty. It is foggy. Winds out of the east-northeast. Pressure is falling. Humidity sits at 94%. How can you tell I'm sleep deprived? You know what? Not doing much to wake me up. Normally, if you're on weather in January, just step outside and you'll get that wake-up call. But today, it's a lot milder than what we've been experiencing through the last couple of days, as evidenced by these current conditions. It does get a little frostier the further west we go, and coincidentally, that's also where there is some snowfall. To the north, quite chilly, upwards of -20 degrees in most of the region. However, when you factor in that wind chill, it is quite dangerous. That's the correct word to use, because you can definitely be in danger of some frostbite if you're spending too much time outside, not bundled correctly. -35 in Thompson, or in Churchill, excuse me, -30 in Thompson. For us here in Winnipeg, as the kids head back to school, hopefully with a pep in their step, they'll be greeted with some decent temperatures, overcast skies. There is a slight chance of some flurry activity throughout the day. Likely we're going to stay just cloudy and dry. -7 as they arrive, gets a touch warmer as they take lunch, and heating up from there to our high of -5 as they head home. Overnight tonight, that flurry risk does persist, still at about 30%. Temperatures dipping down to -10 degrees. Those very cloudy skies continue. Winds remaining pretty light out of the west at 15 kilometers per hour. Then tomorrow we get that sunshine back, a mix of sun and cloud with a high of -6, even warmer midweek under clearer skies and a high of -3. Your Skywatch picture of the day takes us to the Forks, where parts of the river trail have reopened. Thanks to Letitia for sending that in, and keep your weather pictures coming to Winnipeg Weather at ctv.ca.
Thanks, Catherine. If you're looking to spruce up your home, Your Morning Winnipeg has a contest that could help. The Winnipeg Renovation Show runs January 16th to the 18th at the RBC Convention Center, and this is your last chance to win tickets. 6 winners will get 4 tickets to the show with VIP seating and a meet and greet with Mike Holmes Jr. Make it right and don't miss out on that chance. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca. Don't forget to enter the keyword renovation. Good luck. Imagine being able to walk through and get a feel for the life-size floor plan of your dream home long before it's even built. Now would-be home builders can do just that thanks to technology used by one company in Edmonton. CTV's Nicole Weisberg explains.
Come on in.
So here we are at the front door, is where we start all our projects.
A floor plan on a computer or phone projected at scale.
So if we needed to verify anything, we can come down right now and see that, yeah, we are 55 inches on the door.
Direct motion lets home builders and others walk through a space before it exists.
So that they can experience their house and they can go through their build and then they can fine-tune their designs. As you can see here, we've also included their appliances.
It's a concept owner Ryan Brown was alerted to by a friend who saw something similar out of Australia. Brown thought it was great and put wheels in motion.
About a year ago, we signed the lease for the warehouse, and we spent about 6 months figuring out how we were going to do this and installing things.
The setup includes a racking system with 8 projectors. Clients send in their floor plans, created with a commonly used design program.
A lot of people come thinking that our design is finalized. We don't think we're going to make any changes. That hasn't been the case to date. The least amount of changes someone has ever had is 8, and the most we've ever had was 36 changes.
Just one innovation in the ever-evolving realm of real estate. Another that's rapidly growing is the use of AI to visualize a property's potential.
People have a hard time visualizing space, right? Like most people can't look and see what the room will look like with a different paint color, let alone different furniture or walls moved. So being able to, like, here's what I'm looking at in this space, and oh, I want to know what it is like with like boho or modern, and then it can literally swipe.
RE/MAX is currently testing this technology in Toronto with plans to roll it out nationwide, says broker John Carter. The industry, he says, is becoming more and more linked to technology.
Social media promotion is huge. And then on the listing promotion side, it's virtual tours.
And if you're not keeping up, he says, you're losing out, with a growing number of people preferring to experience a home from the screen in front of them. Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Coming up, we're live this morning with Ainsley McPhail at CERB Riel. Find out more about its programs and services to help you when you're struggling. Stay with us. Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at CERB Riel this morning. Hi, Ainsley.
Hi, good morning. We're chatting with the CERB Riel Foundation about many of their programs and how they're getting out into community. Now, this is serious stuff. We were talking about suicide. Dave and Tamara join us now. Tamara is a caseworker. Thank you so much for being here. What is the ASSIST program?
So, what they've done is there are so many people who have thoughts of suicide. You had said 5% of the population has admitted to having thoughts of suicide, and often they're confused about these thoughts. And there's not always someone that they can talk to right away. So what we're trying to do is to teach as many people a standardized method of meeting the needs of people with thoughts of suicide. And so that's what the ASSIST program is.
Mm-hmm. And, well, when we talk about the people who are aiding and helping in that cause, you're right in the trenches. Tell us a little bit about your role.
Yeah, mental health caseworker, directly in the community, working with people. Some of the people, unfortunately, I work with are facing some pretty tough challenges, have in the past and continue to. So, unfortunately, that goes hand in hand sometimes with thoughts of suicide. It's the unfortunate reality of that. So, I truly appreciated getting the training from this course because it just strengthened the tools that I had to be able to support these people in these moments of crisis.
And we talked off camera and you said, well, I think everybody should be able to benefit by a program like this just to get the awareness out there. Just how many people are facing this? Is this a really great challenge in our community?
Yeah, I think the truth of it is people are uncomfortable talking about it, thinking about it, sharing about it. So I think that the more awareness and ability people have to be able to support and just be comfortable with that moment with people and supporting them through it is amazing. So the more people who get this training, I think the better, impact it's going to have. Yeah.
And how can people get involved?
Well, they can go online, go to our website at cerbriel.ca, look under the courses that we have in our education and training under the foundation, and they can get in and get registered. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. It's certainly a challenging conversation, but one that needs to be had. And thank you at home for watching and listening. Back Back to you.
Ainsley. All right, and the weather today might bring some of the moods up today.
Yeah, I know. I don't know about you, but this time of year, January, February, it gets so dark, it gets so cold. Yes, a lot of people deal with seasonal affective disorder, and a good way to kind of care for our mood a little bit is to get outside, get our steps in, get some fresh air. And today is making it darn inviting. It's -8 degrees with that wind chill, though it's feeling closer to -10. It's misty and foggy out there. Winds are out of the east-northeast, very light, barely registering. Pressure falling, humidity sitting at 94%. So we are dealing with a good amount of fog in southern Manitoba, to the point that there is a fog advisory in place. We're not included, though we are dealing with the fog. Many areas through the Red River Valley, Interlake, Westman, likely to have a foggy start to your day. It doesn't pick up on our radar. The cloud coverage does. It's starting to push in. It's likely going to be a very cloudy day across the southern parts of our province, while the north also dealing with some cloud coverage and likely some flurry activity. A good chance of a system pushing through northern Manitoba today. For us here, underneath that system, we get some stratus, we get some clouds, we get that possibility of freezing rain in the morning, and then a 30% chance of flurries into the afternoon. Likely, though, we're going to stay cloudy and warm at -5 degrees with those very light southerly winds. Overnight, they do shift, but staying basically not a factor at 15 kilometers out of the west. Temperatures dipping down to -10 under those very cloudy skies, with that slight chance of flurry activities continuing. Into tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, a little bit cooler at -6, but well below a typical high, which is -13 degrees. More light winds under that mix of sun and cloud. Midweek, we're likely getting our warmest temperature of the week at -3 degrees with those clear sunny skies. Thursday is nothing to scoff at either, -5 degrees. And then Friday, we start to lose a little bit of that warmth with a high of -9. In the weekend, though, lots of sunshine to enjoy.
A synagogue in Winnipeg was vandalized with graffiti, including several swastika symbols on its front entrance and wall.
This particular act is especially concerning. It's frightening and it's shocking, actually.
2 swastika symbols blurred out in this photo were spray painted early Friday morning at Congregation Sherry Zedek. Executive Director Rina Sector Elbaz says there has been acts of vandalism in the past, but with heightened anti-Semitism around the world, it could be the tip of the iceberg. Attempts were made to remove the graffiti, and while the paint on glass doors were removed, graffiti on the exterior wall seeped into it and will need special products to remove it. Elbaz added this action brings unity to the Jewish community.
I grew up with people from other communities. They reached out to me when they heard about it. I feel like if all people who have good faith stand together, we can put out this darkness.
Elbaz said a report has been made to the police. In an email to CTV News, the Winnipeg Police Service confirmed a report of graffiti on a building in the 500 block of Wellington Crescent. The Major Crimes Unit is investigating the incident. A Palestinian owned business says it's also reported a vandalism incident to police. In an Instagram post, Habibi's Cafe says someone had allegedly been breaking windows early Sunday morning at its Portage Avenue restaurant. The post shows an image of someone dressed in black apparently swinging a hammer at around 4:40 a.m. Images captured this morning by CTV News show windows on the cafe partially boarded up with plywood. The restaurant also says someone left a hand-printed sign with what is being called a racist and Islamophobic message. CTV News has reached out to police regarding this incident. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham has condemned the vandalism at both the Sherry Zedek Synagogue and the Habibi's Cafe on social media. He says, though the victims are from different backgrounds, the intent was the same, to intimidate Jewish and Palestinian Winnipeggers. He adds, quote, "We cannot let that happen. An attack on a place of worship or a local family business is an attack on the safety of every citizen." Gillingham goes on to say police are investigating both incidents and ask the public to contact the WPS with any information about either incident. Prime Minister Mark Carney is heading to Paris this morning to meet with Ukraine's allies as talks aimed at securing a ceasefire with Russia intensify. The Prime Minister's office says Carney will meet with the coalition of the willing in an effort to push forward a ceasefire agreement. The coalition includes Canada, France, and other European countries. In a statement, Prime Minister Carney said his focus remains on fortifying Ukraine and deterring future Russian aggression. Canada is among the latest contributors per capita to Ukraine's recovery, with an estimated total value of commitments to Ukraine at $23.5 billion to date. If you were at CF Polo Park on Sunday afternoon, you might have seen a wave of people wearing ribbon skirts. The 4th annual National Ribbon Skirt Day event was held on Sunday at CF Polo Park's Centre Court. It comes from a story of 10-year-old girl Isabella Kulak in Saskatchewan, who was shamed because she wore the skirt to school. One of the organizers for this year's event, Sandra Delarond, says each of the skirts have personal meaning for everyone.
They are really a source of strength and a source of pride, because we've come so far in reclaiming our place, that part of that reclamation is being comfortable expressing who we are as Indigenous women, girls, and gender diverse people.
Delarond says since the day was recognized, people started to share their ribbon skirts on social media. She hopes to share their cultural understanding to other groups too. The National Ribbon Skirt Day was recognized after Manitoba Senator Mary Jane McCallum's bill got royal assent in 2022. Some road closures to remind you about this morning following the rush. The eastbound curb lane on Broadway will be closed between Hargrave and Smith. Lombard Avenue will be closed from Main to Rory, and the median lanes on Selkirk will be closed between Aikens and Salter. If you have any other traffic tips, text them to us, please. Here's a look now at your gas prices. The Canadian average is $1.22. The provincial average is lower at $1.11. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.10, and the lowest price in the city is $1.04. All this info is on GasBuddy.com. Here's what's happening outside right now. It's -8 with the wind chill feels like -10. We'll be back after this.
As much as it can be tough to get back to reality, get into routine after the holidays, Mother Nature is certainly easing that transition with a lovely start to the day. It's -8 degrees, that wind chill just in effect making it feel slightly cooler, not terribly severe. It is misty, it is foggy out there, winds are light out of the east-northeast, pressure is falling, humidity sitting at 94%. So we are dealing with a good amount of fog through southern Manitoba, to the point that there is an advisory in effect through much of the south, including in the Red River Valley, Interlake, Westman. That should break up into the later this morning, leaving behind a good amount of cloud coverage as evidenced on our radar. You can see it pushing in there from the west. Meantime, there is a system, a slight impulse that is spreading snowfall through northern Manitoba, already beginning this morning to the northwest, so areas like the Pond, Flin Flon, and will be fanning out into the northeast, into this neck of the woods. Look for that to begin into the afternoon. Temperatures getting quite chilly at -20 in Thompson. It'll likely pass by Gillam and Churchill, which will be mostly cloudy. Island Lake will likely get some snowfall. However, temperatures milder at -15 degrees. I mentioned the snowfall already in effect to the northwest. It's likely to continue throughout the day. Temperatures peaking in this region in the mid to upper -teens, a little bit cooler there in Lynn Lake. You see a little bit of that mixed precipitation there. Likely it will be flurries, but because of the kind of nature of the system, slight chance for some freezing drizzle. Southwestern Manitoba, temperatures above seasonal. Likely to be overcast, slight chance of some flurry activity. I want to mention you are seeing some this morning, but throughout the day, you still have that slight risk. Likely you're just going to be cloudy. For us here, much the same with those temperatures and conditions, slight chance of flurry activity. Northwestern Ontario also not getting a ton of sunshine, above seasonal values though, in the mid- single digits there. Overnight tonight, that flurry risk does persist. Temperatures dipping down to -10. Tomorrow, a slight bit cooler, but we get that sunshine back with a mix of sun and cloud, and we're downright balmy on Wednesday under clear sunny skies and a high of -3.
Thanks, Catherine. Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, and you are live at Sarah Riel. And for people struggling with addiction, they do have services there for them.
Yes, good morning. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Compassionate care. Now, it should go without saying, but there are programs to help the individuals who are working with folks dealing with substance issues and addiction. and substance issues. I want to say it right. Dave and Gavin join us now to tell us all about those programs. Dave, what is Compassionate Care?
So Compassionate Care was a program we developed. We couldn't find a training. There's lots of trainings out there on addictions and substance use and what it does, but it's mostly statistics and things that give you information about addiction. It doesn't help you relate to that person who's sitting across from you. And with our core values of compassion, respect, and recovery, we wanted something that focused on presenting those issues. So being compassionate to that person, being understanding about what's going on with them, and being able to understand that they have to take the lead in their recovery path.
Well, yeah, there's so many factors. It's not a it's a case-by-case basis, right? Everyone is dealing with their own individual problems. Now, Gavin, you're in the trenches. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's a new thing for me. I started a role around 7 months ago now, and it was a complete change for me. I went from working jobs in sales and other industries like that to the addiction industry, and it's been different, and a course like this has really helped me just gain an understanding of, like he said, of the person across the table from me and what they're going through.
Now, who are you working with more specifically, and why is this helping them so greatly?
Yeah, for sure. I work at a place called Riverwood House. It's a second stage transitional living facility for those struggling with addiction. And so they already had gone through treatment by the time I see them, but they're still people who really need help and really need support and really need that little bit of structure in their lives. And yeah, I just get to help them day to day.
Do you have a message for people who are also working of compassion?
Yeah, I think just for anyone you work with who's dealing with addiction or anything like that, just showing them love and compassion, just knowing that like they're not too different from you. Like just a couple things in their life went differently than mine and yours, and they're where they are there, and I'm where I am now, and it easily could have been flipped.
Thank you so much. Okay, we have another chat coming up at 8:06.
Thank you, Ainsley. Tourism operators in Canada are expecting another big year ahead. This after 2025 featured a boost in domestic travel. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth reports.
All is quiet on the Halifax waterfront, but Dennis Campbell is still savoring the memories of last year's record-breaking tourism season.
From air, car, rail, cruise ship, just like we've never seen before.
Tensions between Canada and the U.S. resulted in many Canadians choosing to spend their vacation dollars closer to home. The Canada Strong Pass, provided by Parks Canada, also had an impact, offering free or discounted admission to sites and landmarks across the country. Last year, the pass was linked to a 6.5% increase in Via Rail ridership, a 13% jump at Parks Canada sites, and a 15% increase in National Museum visits. The pass is available again this year. Campbell expects 2026 to be even busier than last year.
Right now, our early numbers for 26 are really strong for domestic travel.
Some point to the recent drop in gas prices, allowing Canadians to keep their travel habits north of the border.
The gas prices falling for domestic short-haul travel is fantastic for as an incentive. It just makes the holiday or the trip much more affordable.
The tourism operators are also forecasting a record-breaking cruise ship season for the Maritimes and Quebec. Last year in Halifax, more than 200 ships came to port, with even more expected in 2026.
What we saw this year, which we never saw really before, was people getting on a 7-day cruise in Montreal and getting off in Halifax, which was the last port before Boston or New York, so that they could stay within Canada, which, as I say, we never saw that. We saw that quite a bit this summer.
One of the many travel trends recently witnessed as domestic tourism continues to grow in Canada. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
Good morning. A who's who of celebrities kicked off 2026 with a New Year's opera in Beijing. It was a showcase of scenes from various classic operas and some new works performed for China's President Xi Jinping and other state leaders. Beijing's National Center for the Performing Arts is known locally as the Giant Egg, and it's the largest theater complex in all of Asia. Let's see who celebrates celebrating a milestone today. Happy 65th birthday and first day of retirement to Wendy. We're so proud of you. Love Jamie, Elle, Kelly, Charlie, Cammie, and Cash. To submit your milestone, visit our website, ctvnewswinnipeg.ca, and fill out the form at least 2 days in advance. It'll also enter you into our monthly contest for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate to Party Stuff.
Milestones is brought to you by Party Stuff, Winnipeg's balloon headquarters with 3 locations.
We're doing well in terms of our temperatures today, looking at a high of -5. As you can see, a good bit warmer than the average, but we're well off that record set back in 2012, not that long ago, but doing quite a bit better than that low of -28.9 degrees, or sorry, -40 degrees. That was set in 1896. So yes, we are dealing with a very mild day ahead and a bit of a foggy, misty one here in Winnipeg and surrounding areas. -8 degrees, a little bit cooler with that wind chill. Winds out of the east-northeast at 4 clicks, barely registering. Pressure falling, humidity sits at 94%. So we're going to start in the north and work our way down. An impulse pushing in from Saskatchewan, spreading flurry activity through the region today. It's already begun in the Paw and Nipawa. It'll continue into the northeast throughout the day. And then some flurries off and on throughout the evening as well. Temperatures reaching highs, very cold into the low to mid -20 degree mark. That wind chill, though, making it feel this morning more like -30 around Churchill. For us here in the south, underneath that impulse comes some stratus. With it, the possibility of freezing rain, fog, mist. That's what we're already seeing this morning. Slight chance of some snowfall for us in Winnipeg, though, likely just overcast with a high of -5.
Weather is brought to you by ABC Fire and Safety, your CO2 refill store.
We set them with the best intentions, whether it's improving our fitness or our financial health. So many of us set New Year's resolutions with so much momentum, and then slowly that motivation falls away. It turns out there are psychological reasons for this, and also ways to make tackling our goals a little bit easier. Joining us now is clinical psychologist Kristen Reynolds. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, behind all New Year's resolutions, of course, is motivation. You say it doesn't necessarily work the way we think it does, though. Tell us why.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many reasons. So, first of all, I think people can think, oh, that New Year's resolutions don't stick. Why set them? But I think it still is a wonderful time to reflect on things that we're grateful for and areas that we want to grow in for the year ahead. And there are definitely some strategies that can promote our ability to stay on track with those goals that we set. One of the most important factors is doing something that we value, something that's important to us. So that goal or resolution should really be ours, not set by someone else, or perhaps coming from guilt or other sort of more challenging emotions, but something that we really want to do. And then from there, we can get into the step-by-step planning of how to make that goal a reality and how to make it stick in our lives.
And one thing you caution against is being overly ambitious with your goals. Explain how those can backfire.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to set goals that are realistic, that are achievable, and set goals in a step-by-step way that can allow us to feel some success. And I think a lot of people, when we get started on new behavior change, we can get into sort of an all or nothing mindset, where if we, don't exercise on a particular day, or our meal planning doesn't go according to plan, we can sort of abandon the goal, when really we want to try to be self-compassionate and stick with that goal, even through times of setback or struggle, as we know we'll all have those times.
Right. And so help us set some more realistic goals then. What should they look like?
Yeah, so they should be, and I think we've heard this term SMART goals. So setting goals that are really specific, that are measurable, achievable, realistic, and goals that are time-bound. And these goals, getting to that realistic part, can be really important. What's going to fit within the fabric of your life? I have, abandoned an exercise bike in the basement for our Barbie dream house many years ago that has now gone to my parents' place, and they're having a wonderful time with it. But sticking to a goal that can really fit into the fabric of your life, that you can make it work on a day-to-day basis at a specific time. That consistency is key. Something that is time-bound. When are you going to make that time? And working through the barriers to sort of what's going to come up and get in the way of me getting to this goal every day or on a consistent behavior, and bringing that goal into the lives of those that you love and trust as well, sharing that goal publicly, letting them know this is something I'm working on. If you can help me stay on track with that, that would be great. It's always wonderful if we can build multiple goals together. So if there's a social goal and a behavioral goal, if you can have a partner or friend or family member to participate in that goal with you, more likelihood would be there for long-term success.
And then when you have long-term success, it's ultimately better for your mental health as well.
Absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Kristen, thanks for your time and for giving us some tips on how to stay on track. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Happy New Year.
You too.
Hello there, welcome inside the Sports Center newsroom. Adam Scully here with your must-see moment from Sunday. And for it, we're heading to Los Angeles. Cardinals and the Rams, second quarter, 4th and goal. Matt Stafford throws one up for Puka Nacua. Leaps up and makes the spectacular one-handed catch for the touchdown. Nacua with the defender all over him, goes up and snags it out of midair. That highlight reel play is your must-see moment from Sunday. Monday on TSN, you can see Canada battle Finland for the bronze medal at the World Junior Hockey Championship. Pre-game coverage starts at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's all from the Sports Center newsroom. Have a great day.
The TSN must-see moment is brought to you by Super Blinds and Draperies, featuring Hunter Douglas products.
The streets are just a little bit slippery this morning, but so far in the drive, it doesn't look like it's causing too many problems for drivers out there. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. It's Monday, January the 5th. Costly recovery. How many millions may be needed to bring a Northern First Nation back to normal following an extended winter power outage? Illegal border crossings, why some say policy changes in U.S. immigration policy could swell numbers crossing into Canada away from authorized routes. And an armada of equipment takes to Winnipeg streets following the weekend snowfall. Which streets are getting priority treatment? Your Morning Winnipeg starts right now. Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on your Monday. Thank you so much for joining us here on Your Morning Winnipeg. We have a really cool event that's happening tomorrow at the Jets game. It's Ukrainian Heritage Night, so we're going to find out a little bit more on what's happening, what people can expect. Also at 8:15, we're going to learn more about the use of AI, artificial intelligence. It's happening more and more. You're finding it more and more in your everyday life. We're going to find out how you can manage it and what to look out for, what could be signs of trouble. But the weather is going to be a beautiful week.
Oh my goodness, it sure is. This week can be a bit painful for some folks getting back into the swing. Mother Nature is helping you ease into it a bit with some much less punishing temperatures. Minus 8 degrees right now. That wind chill barely a factor, making it feel more like minus 10. It's a little bit foggy and a little bit misty this hour. Barometric pressure is falling with those light winds. The humidity sits at 94%. So we are dealing with a good amount of fog coverage throughout southern Manitoba. There is a fog advisory in effect. We're not included in Winnipeg technically, but as you can see, it is still pretty dense out there. So it doesn't pick up on the radar. You do see those encroaching clouds. That'll be the case for us. Likely it's going to be overcast. There is a slight chance of some flurry activities for us and a much surer shot of some snowfall to the north. That's because we're dealing with an incoming system. You can see it there in Saskatchewan. As the day progresses, it moves in, although on the beginning part of that, you're already seeing seeing some flurry activity in the northwest. Areas like the Paw, Flin Flon, excuse me, lost my words there, having a snowy morning. It'll fan out into the rest of the north and likely encroaching on the northeast overnight tonight, and bringing with it clouds. Cool temperatures today in the low to mid -20s. Us here, you saw a couple disturbances there. We do have that slight chance of some flurry activity through the day through southern Manitoba. Likely it's going to be cloudy, very mild, with temperatures in the low to mid single degree mark. Low to mid single degree mark. -5 is what we're looking at here in Winnipeg. Winds are light, and then tomorrow we stay decently warm and we get some sunshine. As you can see, we clear off nicely. Looking ahead to the rest of the week, you'll see we have decent temperatures ahead, above seasonal. We get a bit cooler into the weekend, but we got a good amount of sunshine to enjoy. Your weather art of the day. What an artiste. Nora, 6 years old, my niece. She did a wonderful job. We need more weather art of the day, so please submit them to winnipegweather@ctv.ca. There's a number on your screen. We need that kids weather-themed artwork. So thanks to all who submitted, and keep them coming.
The Weather Art of the Day is brought to you by 103.1 Virgin Radio.
We're learning more about the aftermath of a failed hydro line to permit Shikamak Cremation in Cross Lake.
200 cases that where some of the houses are not going to be able to, are severely compromised, I would say, meaning that they're unlivable right now.
In a virtual news conference Saturday, Chief David Monius says he is trying to come up with a recovery plan, and he's looking at about $44 million of repair at the bare minimum. Most of the water pipes, pumps, tanks, even water plants are frozen, with water seeping into electrical sockets and light fixtures, Monius said. He also said water plants in the south and the north end of the community are also out of commission with major leaks. The Northern First Nation was out of electricity for almost a week after a 300-meter-long power line that runs between two islands in the Nelson River broke. Snow removal equipment was out in full force this morning across Winnipeg. Front-end loaders, graders, and other plowing equipment was out overnight on the city's major streets. The blitz started Saturday evening on sidewalks and pathways. It moved to main routes Sunday evening. The city says crews are working based on a street priority system. Drivers are reminded to drive to conditions and use caution around the heavy equipment. The City of Winnipeg is looking to add 27 40-foot battery and fuel cell battery buses to its fleet for a cost of $51 million. The Public Service says there's already room in the budget for 25 of the new buses, and if some other projects have leftover money, it could add 2 more. The buses would be coming from New Flyer Industries, which has already delivered several of the buses in previous years, as the city slowly transitions its fleet to zero-emission buses. And Councillor Russ Wyatt has put forward a motion to reroute the FX3 bus line, which has been causing headaches for some folks in Transcona. Wyatt's motion is asking for the route to be sent down Day Street and Kildare Avenue East instead of Victoria Avenue East, where people have complained about buses rattling their homes and cracks forming in their foundations. Wyatt is also asking the Public Service to report back on possible safety improvements for Victoria Avenue in 2 months rather than 8. All 3 of those motions will be considered at this week's Public Works Committee meeting. If you're looking for another reason to dig out your skates, you can take them for a spin at the Assiniboine Park Duck Pond. The Assiniboine Park Conservancy says the Duck Pond shelter is now open daily from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. It has access to bathrooms and a place to warm up and rest. Visitors are reminded that hockey sticks and pucks are not permitted, and guests must stay off the ice during maintenance. Here's what's happening now along the St. James Bridge. It looks like things are moving quite well in this part of the city. If you see any problems out on the streets, please let us know.
Traffic is brought to you by Mr. Lube Plus Tires. Open late, ready when you are.
Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail, who's live at CERB Riel this morning. So many different programs available for people who are struggling right now. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning. And Rochelle, when it comes to addictions and recovery, these conversations aren't just impacting the people going through the addiction, but also their loved ones, and there's programs to support them as well. Healing Together is one of them. Dave and Barbara are joining me. Dave, tell us about Healing Together.
So we looked at compassionate care, which we just talked about in the last segment. We thought there's a lot of information here that would be helpful to families. So we edited it down to 2 3-hour evenings. The first evening we look at what is happening in the brain of our loved one. The second evening is all about how can we look at recovery, the options, as well as communication and things like setting boundaries and how to talk to our loved ones with more compassion.
And you're doing just that. You're working with these individuals. Tell us about all of that and what that entails, Barbara.
Well, I guess first of all, I just wanted to mention that when you're dealing and supporting loved ones, it's a matter of the heart because you love them so much. And so the thing is, it's very easy to not realize that you also need some help and healing, because it's easy to become a helicopter mom, sister, or you know, if you have a spouse or an aunt or whatever. It's very easy, and you don't know what to do because you love them and you get confused. So when I discovered this program, when I met Dave, it was like a relief. Where has this been all my life? All my life. And I have learned in the program about communication and about the times, because you love them so much, you say you should. And so I had to learn how to communicate properly and how to stay in my lane. The program has helped me find peace and love and support the people in my life, whether it's a friend or whether it's a family member, with the compassion and understanding that's necessary. And it's so much today. How many people do you know going through it? Yes.
I'm so sorry. Okay. I'll keep listening off camera. Okay, 8:38's another chat.
Thank you, Ainsley. Canada has a new reason to raise a toast. A Montreal bartender has been named the ultimate bartender champion, beating out competition from North, South, and Central America. CTV's Christine Long finds out how she did it.
So it's like a nice little boozy wake-up.
Bartender Marie-Louise Roy-Bilodeau likes making custom cocktails, like this riff on a Negroni she nicknames a Monday morning.
I just like making something that my guests will enjoy.
She's been bartending 4 years and was encouraged by a boss to compete professionally, so she gave it a shot.
This year, I applied to do the Ultimate Bartender Championship. I won the Canadian leg, and that brought me all the way to Colombia for the final for North, South, and Central America. And I won that one.
The only woman in the finals, Roy-Bilodeau, who is 27, says that the all-day competition included mixology, serving, and speed.
Their premise was skills pay the bills. So they created a bunch of challenges to test your day-to-day skills.
Day-to-day skills she's been perfecting at La Cantina Concha.
You had 5 drinks to make and a shot to pour as fast as you could.
Now named the ultimate bartender champion, Roy-Bilodeau earned a retro varsity jacket, a big ring, and bragging rights that her boss is enjoying.
My boss has been like telling people sometimes, like we'll get customers and she'll be like, do you know that she's the best in the world? I'm like, whoa, let's chill.
She jokes her ultimate bartender champion title only includes North, South, and Central America. A real world championship just might be in her mix for 2026. Christine Long, CTV News.
The CTV Live Eye is brought to you by Bath Fitter, exclusive home of the PermaFit solution.
Taking a check in outside, not a lot to see under that dense fog and that mist that's rolling through our province and mainly southern Manitoba. There are a couple of headlights there indicating just how thick it is. It's -8 with that wind chill, feels more like -10. Very light winds, pressure falling, humidity sits at 94%. Oddly enough, there is this fog advisory in place, but we are not impacted by it. However, as you can see, even though much of southern Manitoba and surrounding areas are under that advisory, we too are no doubt affected. Likely that's going to break up a little later. Temperatures as we kick off under those pretty overcast skies, starting in the mid to low minus teens there. Northern Manitoba quite a bit chillier, particularly in Churchill, and then you factor in that wind chill, it's feeling closer to -34 degrees this hour, -32 in Gillam. So do take care to dress for those conditions if you must spend time outside, because it sounds like a broken record, but you do get frostbite. It can be quite dangerous if you're not dressed appropriately. As you head to school, it's going to be quite overcast. There is a slight chance of flurries for us throughout the day. Likely, though, will stay dry. -7 degrees, a little bit warmer as kids take lunch, and -5, which is also our high as they head home. Overnight, temperatures dipping down to -10 under mostly cloudy skies. That flurry chance does persist, that risk, if you will. But into tomorrow, we get a slight bit cooler, but for the most part, decent, above seasonal for sure. Under a mix of sun and cloud, we get even warmer midweek. Okay, we're going to take a break. Stay with us. Plenty more Your Morning Winnipeg just ahead.
When you give a child a winter coat, you give them the means to go to school on a cold day, a chance to play outside, because no child should be freezing cold. Donate to Coats for Kids. Proudly sponsored by United Way Winnipeg and CTV.
Realizing U.S. President Donald Trump's plan for a U.S.-led revival of Venezuela's beleaguered oil industry could be a years-long and challenging process costing upwards of $100 billion U.S. Years of corruption, underinvestment, fire, and thefts have left the nation's crude infrastructure in tatters. Rebuilding it enough to lift Venezuela's output back to its peak levels of the 70s would require companies that could include Chevron, ExxonMobil, and ConocoPhillips to invest about $10 billion per year over the next decade, according to Francisco Minaldi, Director of Latin American Energy Policy at Rice University. Now, former federal minister Chrystia Freeland has been appointed as an economic advisor by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Freeland, who has Ukrainian ancestry, has expressed her support for Ukraine amid its war with Russia and has said the country could become an economic juggernaut by taking up the opportunities it missed after the collapse of the Soviet Union. She resigned as a cabinet minister in September, but remains a Toronto MP. Those are your morning business headlines. For BNN Bloomberg, I'm Roger Peterson.
The rise in artificial intelligence is scary for some and empowering for others, but no matter which side you fall on, AI seems to be here to stay, as it increasingly shapes how Canadians work and how businesses operate in our country. Here to share his insights on AI's evolution and how it could impact you is David Gerhard, head of the Computer Science Department at the University of Manitoba. Hello, David.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. Now, some people watching might not know what artificial intelligence is or how often they're even interacting with it. Explain what this technology is.
So this is a really important point because we've seen over the last few years integration of artificial intelligence into our everyday workplaces. There's AI agents in our search engines and in our Zoom calls and everything else. These are large computer systems that have the ability to answer questions and make decisions for us. But as you said, there are benefits and drawbacks to the use of these tools, even though they are integrated in most of our systems today.
Even when you use Google for a simple search, AI is the one responding to you. It's the first thing that comes up. Some people might not even realize that that information might not always be truthful, right?
Yes, and the big drawback of AI, of course, is that it is not trustworthy. It makes mistakes. That's part of its benefit, is it's very creative. It does things in different ways than a regular computer system might, but it does still hallucinate. And this is a fundamental challenge with the way the technology is developed. And so anytime you use an AI system and get a response, you always want to make sure that you are checking that response against your own understanding of truth.
Okay, so its uses seem to be evolving constantly, of course, and making their way into more corners of our lives every day. Does it seem like it will continue to be as influential in the year to come?
I think so. I think because it's being integrated in more in more ways, and also people are finding more use cases for it, right? Like not just finding answers to questions, but being able to optimize their workflows and do things more quickly that might otherwise take more time. More and more people are using it every day, but the public perception of its use is also changing. People are more resistant to whether or not it should be used in large situations, in the arts and in media, for example.
Okay, and AI, of course, can be scary for workers. There are concerns it will replace certain jobs. What can workers, students, and even businesses reasonably expect on this front?
Yeah, I think we are seeing that the big changes to employment are not really coming about the way we thought they were going to be. Many companies started to change the way that they hire and the number of people that they hire, but the economic benefits of AI aren't necessarily panning out. And so it's not necessarily going to be fewer jobs or different jobs. It's going to be people being expected to integrate the use of AI into their workflows.
There's also a lot of concerns around this technology, be it ethical or environmental. Tell us a little bit about some of those issues and whether we should continue to be wary of AI in this way.
Yeah, so the ethical concerns, one of the big problems is that many of the companies that deploy these technologies are in the States, and the regulation environment in the United States is a little bit uncertain. So we're going to hear a lot about AI sovereignty and data sovereignty over the next year as Canadian corporations start to build solutions that are maybe slightly separated from the American ones. And then the conversation around the environment continues to be a large challenge because these technologies take a lot of information, they take a lot of data, they take a lot of power. Whether or not this is a good use of the power and the resources that we have to use AI in this way.
Any other concerns you want to add?
I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to see where AI goes this year. I mean, it's very difficult to predict the future. Predicting 2025 would have been almost impossible, the changes in the personality of these tools, the changes in the regulation of these tools. But it's very exciting to see how these technologies play out because they are still very, very powerful and useful tools, even in the careful ways that we might be able to use them.
David, thanks for your time today.
You're very welcome.
Out on the rooftop now, how's it feeling out there, Catherine?
Feeling lovely. You can tell I'm not AI yet because I make so many mistakes, flubbing all the time. You'll know something's up when I'm smooth. Anyway, speaking of smooth, a good smooth transition there, it's feeling lovely outside. You're not getting that brutal wake-up call when you step out as we did last week. It's only -8 degrees, that wind chill barely a factor, but it's very misty, very foggy. Can't quite see it on even our radar. On our live eye, excuse me, but much of southern Manitoba to that effect is under a fog advisory. That's because stratus moving in brings with it that dense coverage, along with it a chance of some freezing rain or some flurry activity. We've already seen some mist, so you see that kind of more mixed precipitation. Throughout the day, that risk tapers off, as does this fog, leaving behind a good amount of cloud coverage. Still a chance of flurries throughout the day. Highs very warm, about -5 degrees in Winnipeg, when -13 is typical. To the north, however, you're dealing with a system that's likely to spread some flurries throughout the region throughout the day, all the way from the northwest to the northeast. Just a few centimeters for you, but it's likely not going to taper off until overnight, so keep those shovels ready. It'll also be cold with highs in the low to mid -20 degree mark. Okay, your Skywatch picture of the day. We go down to the Forks where it is looking lovely, festive, and part of that river trail is open. Thanks to Letitia. Keep your Skywatch pictures coming to Winnipeg weather at ctv.ca.
Weather is brought to you by Canadian Footwear, helping you find the perfect fit.
If you're looking to spruce up your home, Your Morning Winnipeg has a contest that could help. The Winnipeg Renovation Show runs January 16th to the 18th at the RBC Convention Center. And this is your last chance to win tickets. 6 winners will get 4 tickets to the show with VIP seating and a meet and greet with Mike Holmes Jr. Make it right and don't miss out on that chance. To enter, head to the contest page on our website, ctvwinnipeg.ca. Don't forget to enter the keyword renovation. Good luck. After years of hybrid schedules, tens of thousands of Ontario public employees are headed back to the office today for a 5-day work week.
These folks have been working the entire time. This is about a return to office mandate. And it was done without any consultation with the workers themselves or with any evidence to justify this move. This appears to be a solution that's looking for a problem.
The president of the Ontario Public Service Employees Union says the decision to force workers back to the office for a full week was made without any data on hybrid and remote work productivity, adding it's not about people who don't want to work, it's about flexibility. The provincial government, however, says the move is in line with the current workforce landscape across the province and is an important step in building a more competitive Ontario. There's also mixed reaction to the move, with many people worried about increased traffic and a lack of parking. Nearly 30 migrants were caught crossing illegally into Canada over the holidays, and some of them have been deported back to the U.S. One advocate says changes in American immigration policies are pushing migrants north, and more could be on their way. CTV's Swida Rassi reports.
It was a busy holiday period at the border near Hemmingford. Officials say 8 migrants crossed illegally into Canada on Friday. An additional 19 were caught on Christmas night near Havelock. Franz André is from the Action Committee for People Without Status.
And people are going to take chances. It's not going to stop.
And André believes more migrants crossed without being caught. He points to changes in U.S. immigration policies, most notably the end of temporary protected status for Haitians on February 3rd. The decision affects more than 350,000 Haitians living in the States.
Donald Trump campaign last year, one of his promises was to deport 11 million people. And unfortunately, he is executing his promises.
Of the 19 migrants who entered Canada from the U.S. on Christmas, all were of Haitian origin, ranging in age from 1 to 60 years old. According to the Canada Border Services Agency, the migrants requested asylum, but some were sent back to the U.S. after their claims were deemed inadmissible under the Safe Third Country Agreement. The agreement allows Canada to turn away asylum seekers who arrive through official U.S. border crossings, requiring them to make their refugee claim in the first country they arrive in. André says a better system needs to be put in place.
It is very clear that the United States is no longer a safe country for hundreds of thousands of people.
Several of the migrants did suffer injuries such as frostbites, and the RCMP is warning that border crossings are particularly dangerous during the winter. But André says for migrants, turning back is not an option.
They rather die in the States or in Canada in those frigid, cold weather that we're going through than going back to the country where their life is at stake.
If nothing changes, he says crossings like these will continue. Swida Rassi, CTV News.
Here's a look at what's happening now on Osborne Street. Things are moving well here. No issues to tell you about at this point in the drive. We'll be right back after this short break.
For the Dementor people, Harry Potter fans is what I'm looking for. It looks like Dementors have descended. Wow, Catherine, not functioning too well. -8 degrees with that wind chill barely a factor. Misty, overcast, foggy, light winds, pressure falling. Humidity sits at 94%. Dementor people, that's a good one. Alrighty, yes, we are dealing with an overcast day to start, likely to be the case through the rest of your Monday, but nice and mild. That's the good news. You can see that good amount of cloud coverage there in southern Manitoba and a sprinkling to the north as well. To mention that fog doesn't pick up on our radar there, but it surely is in effect, triggering fog advisories through much of southern Manitoba. Not in effect for the north. Meanwhile, you are dealing with a separate disturbance, if you will, an incoming system likely to bring flurry activity off and on throughout the day and evening to northern Manitoba, the northeast included. -20 degrees in Thompson and Island Lake. It'll likely miss Gillam and Churchill, where temperatures will be very chilly at -22 and -24 respectively. The northwest has already seen some flurry activity this morning. Look for it to continue. Just a couple of centimeters worth is expected, nothing too sizable. However, it will be overcast, a little bit warmer in this neck of the woods in the mid to upper minus teens with that mixed precipitation. Southwestern Manitoba, you too have a slight chance of flurry activity, about 30% shot. Likely you're going to stay overcast with highs of -4 in Brandon and Neepawa, above seasonal to be sure. Same for us in this region, likely overcast, light winds, slight chance of that flurry activity, but again, nice and balmy, mild. Northwestern Ontario overcast for you. Temperatures also agreeable at -7 in Kenora, -6 in Dryden. Looking into the rest of the week, lots of sunshine. Temperatures staying above seasonal. We get a little bit cooler into the weekend, but we hang on to that sunshine.
Thank you, Catherine. The Winnipeg Police Service is requesting the public's help in locating a missing 16-year-old. Haley Clear Sky was last seen December 19th at around 3 p.m. in the 500 block of Sherbrooke Street. Clear Sky is known to frequent the West Broadway, Spence, William White, and North End areas of Winnipeg. Clear Sky is described as 5'4" in height with a medium build with long, straight brown hair and brown eyes. Clear Sky was last seen wearing a red sweatsuit, black jacket, and carrying a black backpack. Anyone with information on the whereabouts of Haley Clear Sky is asked to call the WPS Missing Persons Unit at 204-986-6250. Mixed reactions to U.S. military operation in Venezuela were seen in Winnipeg Sunday.
Viva, viva Venezuela!
Peace Alliance Winnipeg held a hands-off Venezuela protest at the intersection of River Avenue and Osborne Street, condemning the U.S. operation. Dozens of protesters gathered at all four corners of the intersection. Some protesters brought U.S. flags and threw them on the roadway, with some vehicles passing the intersection honking. Chair of the organization, Glenn Michalchuk, says the operation was illegal, calling federal government to, quote, take a strong stand.
Canada's statement has said while it expects international law to be supported, it is perfectly fine. This is Canada's statement, perfectly fine that Maduro was removed. And that's not right. If Canada supports international law, then it must demand that President Maduro be repatriated back to Venezuela because he is the president of that country.
Others had opposing views. In an email, one Winnipegger from a local Venezuelan group who is staying anonymous for their family's safety told CTV News that they are, quote, buying the propaganda of the regime. Also at the protest, one man got into a verbal argument with attendees. If you were at CF Polo Park on Sunday afternoon, you might have seen a wave of people wearing ribbon skirts. The 4th annual National Ribbon Skirt Day event was held on Sunday at CF Polo Park Center Court. It comes from a story of 10-year-old girl Isabella Kulak in Saskatchewan, who was shamed because she wore the skirt to school. One of the organizers for this year's event, Sandra Delaronde, says each of the skirts have personal meaning for everyone. Saskatoon police are introducing a new measure to curb impaired driving in the city. Officers are now conducting mandatory roadside breathalyzers at traffic stops. CTV's Allison Bamford reports.
Framed memories of Bonnie Stevenson's son, Quinn, killed by an impaired driver in 2013. His smile still lights up the room.
There isn't any part of our lives that it hasn't affected.
She hopes others won't have to share the same grief, with Saskatoon police rolling out new mandatory alcohol screening. As of January 1st, drivers pulled over for any traffic offense should be prepared to give a breath sample. The city police hoping it helps curb impaired driving after seeing cases increase in 2025.
Unfortunately, it's a trend that's been going on for several years, and that is something that we have to make sure we look into and enforce for public safety.
Changes to Canada's criminal code in 2018 allow officers to demand a breath sample without reasonable suspicion. If drivers refuse the breathalyzer, lawyers say they'll face charges more serious than blowing over the legal limit.
Every time I see an area where the local police service begins using the mandatory alcohol screening, there is a surge in refusal cases. So always blow. You're better off to blow and let the lawyer handle it later.
Other services across the country, including Saskatchewan RCMP, have already adopted the routine practice. Officers say it takes 30 seconds to do, and advocates believe it has the potential to save lives.
After you lose your 17-year-old son to an impaired driver, there isn't anything you wouldn't do to try to save any other family from that heartache that we have dealt with.
Within the first day of mandatory alcohol screening, Saskatoon police say they performed 33 tests, resulting in 2 suspensions. Allison Bamford, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Here's what's happening now on Portage Avenue. Things are moving well here. We have no real traffic issues to tell you about. It is a little slippery out there, so be aware of that. Here's a look at your gas prices. The Canadian average stands at $1.22. The provincial average is lower at $1.11. In Winnipeg, the average is $1.10, and the lowest price in the city is $1.04. All this information is on gasbuddy.com. Today is National Screenwriters Day, so we're asking, what's your all-time favorite movie? Lamont said his favorite movie is Tombstone. Lindsay's all-time favorite is Phantom of the Paradise, the ultimate classic. And Serendipity is Auntie Nina's favorite. Thanks so much for your responses. Let's go back now to Ainsley McPhail one last time at Sarah Riel. Good morning, Ainsley.
Good morning, Rochelle. Now, we've talked about addictions and recovery all morning long. Healing Together is such an exceptional program because it allows the family and loved ones to also get that support. Dave is joining us once again. So tell us about this program more broadly.
So what happened was we asked our sponsor program, which is our sponsor organization, which is Roseau Compassion Network, had an inspiration grant. And so we applied for it to say we'd like more people to come to Healing Together and have the opportunity to come at no charge. So we have that option right now. So Healing Together for families and of loved ones who struggle with addiction or substance use is a 2-evening program. We go from 5:30 to 8:30 on the first 2 Thursdays of the month. Now for January, we're doing the 8th and the 15th because the first was the Thursday, was a holiday. And what it was, we look at, on the first session, we look at what's happening in the brains of our loved one and how do we understand the behaviors that occur. And in the second session, we talk about what are the recovery options that we can look at and how do we communicate more successfully and set boundaries with our loved ones. And then we also have a support group that is available to anyone who goes through. So every month we meet for 2 hours and just have open discussion.
So, for instance, if I'm somebody who has a loved one or a family member who is going through this, they're not the only one who is experiencing the pain and the challenges. What are some examples?
Well, a lot of people, they get very frustrated. They don't know how to deal with that, with the issues of it. We think often that it's a choice, and by the time we have someone who's in an addictive state, it's no longer really a choice. There's things happening in their brain that are keeping them in that place. And so just that understanding helps us to be more compassionate with what's happening with them, offer them some more resources, offer them some alternatives.
People at home are struggling through this. How can they get that support?
So they can go to our website, sarahriel.ca, and go to the courses in the education and training, and click on the Healing Together. And for those folks who might struggle with the $70 fee, we are offering it at no charge. So just get a hold of another organization to get a hold of us, or call us direct and we'll get you in.
Dave, thank you so much. It's one of those things that I feel like I have more questions every single time, but you guys are doing the best to curb that. Back to you.
Thank you, Ainsley. Let's go out to the rooftop now. It's a mild start to the week, and it's going to get even milder.
That's right. We are in store for a gorgeous week. I got to say, I think it's kind of Mother Nature's nice way of easing us back into normal life. It's -8 degrees with the wind chill feels more like -10. The main weather story currently, though, is the fog. It is so dense out here. Some of the skyscrapers I can't even really fully make out. The winds are light, pressure's falling, humidity sits at 94%. So in terms of our temperatures, they're staying nice and mild. For Winnipeg, that's -5 degrees. -13 is what's typical. We'll deal with overcast skies, slight chance of some flurry activity through most of southern Manitoba, only about a 30% shot. I know Brandon, Dauphin, Neboy, you've already dealt with that today. Likely it'll taper off and you'll stay dry. To the north, however, another system impacting you, spreading flurries off and on throughout the day and evening. Temperatures there much cooler in the northwest, in the mid-minus teens. To the northeast, particularly those upper corners, very chilly in the low minus to mid-minus 20 degree mark, minus. I said that 12 times. Meanwhile, for us here, we'll see those clouds continue overnight. Temperatures moving a couple degrees, not terrible. And then tomorrow we lose a touch of heat, -6 degrees, but lots of sunshine. We get that back, and that's going to be the norm through the week ahead. We're going to take a break. We've got to pay some bills, but stay with us. So much more Your Morning Winnipeg still to come.
Weather is brought to you by Garage Masters, your complete garage specialists.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
Good morning. A new wearable innovation out of Montreal to protect seniors in case of a fall is starting to blow up. The company has combined airbags with pants to create inflatable clothing. CTV's Christine Long shows us how they work and what inspired the idea.
That's the sound of a small airbag inflating as Azimut Medical co-founder Pierre Lee demonstrates a fall. The waistband of those pants is full of technology.
Like an airbag, and is completely inflated by the time you hit the ground. And so the goal here is to protect your hips, protect hip fractures, protect from pelvic injuries.
Co-founder Maxime Bolduc explains the slim airbag hardware isn't new, but their patented software can recognize a real fall and not just when you're plopping down on the couch.
The training material for the multi-layer machine learning algorithm that we have. And so what we do is that we derive real movement, real falls from people, and we train the algorithm on that.
The idea was inspired by his concerns for his grandparents. And if ever there was a grandson qualified to build this, it's Bolduc. He has a degree in mechanical engineering and a master's in innovation management, which he used to create a product more advanced than traditional hip protectors.
They were called hip protectors. They were more like the hockey players' equipment, right? So this innovation that is coming with the inflatable hip protector is something great because people wouldn't really like the hip protectors we had in the past.
Geriatrician Dr. Stéphane Lemire says proper protection in falls could reduce the need for hospitalization in seniors.
This issue of preventing falls, preserving mobility, making sure that people will not break something.
Yet, at this point, these revolutionary pants don't come cheap. The commercial price could be $1,500 a pair.
So using this right now, our pre-production version is 64% more effective than a regular hip protector.
Clinical trials begin in January with a list of clients in Quebec and Ontario who want to start the new year with more safety on their sides. Christine Long, CTV News.
Manitoba's Ukrainian community takes center ice as the Winnipeg Jets host its second annual Ukrainian Heritage Night. Ukrainian food, music, and dance will be on display as the Jets take on the Vegas Golden Knights as part of the team's yearly celebration of one of Manitoba's biggest and most vibrant communities. Here to tell us more, we're joined by Andriy Michaelchishin and Danielle Peloquin-Hofner, members of Ukrainian folk music band Zrada. Good morning to you both. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning.
This is a fun event. I have just seen from that video, the atmosphere must be incredible. So tell me, what are you going to be doing there? What can folks get excited to see you doing? Where can they find you?
Well, if you're sitting somewhere in the bowl, you direct your attention towards where the Zamboni enters and exits the ice. Just above there is a platform where we'll be sitting up and performing. We'll be doing songs live in the bowl at the pre-skate event as well as in between the periods.
And you guys performed last year as well. We just saw a clip of that. What was the atmosphere like? It was the first ever. What did that mean to you guys performing?
It was pretty wild. It was very exciting. I think it was really amazing for all the people in there of Ukrainian descent, but also just anyone in there. It was just a very fun experience. We weren't sure how we would be received, but I think it went over well. We started a good party, I would say. Agreed.
I could tell from there that you did. You're not alone. So Rusalka Ukrainian Dance will be performing. There's going to be Ukrainian food on feature. There's going to be a pierogi Jets dog, which sounds great to me.
Yeah, okay.
There's also that special Jets logo there that was designed by a graphic designer who's a Ukrainian newcomer. Manitoba is such a big and vibrant Ukrainian community. What does it mean to have this kind of celebration of it on such a large stage?
I think that for people of Ukrainian descent coming at any time in Ukraine, Canada's history, it's just important to be seen. I think for a lot of people, the idea of what it means to be Ukrainian has really changed since
2022, since really the main part of the war has begun, and it's just a nice gesture, and nice to be seen. And there is a long history of Ukrainians and hockey in Canada as well, so it's kind of a neat way to highlight all that, and just to be out there, just to normalize the community and just have a positive experience.
Oh, the other thing, or if anyone out there is attending and they're not Ukrainian, maybe they don't have a ton of touchstones for music, Ukrainian food, music, dance, what do you hope they come away with?
Well, I think there isn't one culture of any ethnic background. I think that they'll just come away from it. What we hope is that this is a fun culture that's aware of itself, that is proud of itself, but is very welcoming to new experiences and to new people. And just we like introducing our culture to new people, and that's what we hope for, I think.
Same for you, Danielle?
Oh yeah, I mean, walking away with full bellies, and
that's the goal.
Yeah, exactly.
Rocking the head a little bit, full bellies.
Exactly.
That's a good way of putting it.
So for maybe folks that are fans of yours already, are going to become fans after the game, how can they keep up with you beyond the Ukrainian Heritage Game?
Well, all our music is available online, all the streaming platforms. If you want to see some more of our live performances, we have some that are live taped in the Hoagie Boys restaurant. We have a video series that's available online for your viewing enjoyment, but the next live performance is going to be at a winter festival happening in the coming months here in Winnipeg.
What could that be? Hoagie Boys, as a performance fan, music and a side of a great meal.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Well, gentlemen, thanks for joining us, and have the best time at the game. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks so much. Slava Ukraini.
And if you're heading out and you're going to play, maybe hit an outdoor rink, it's so mild and lovely. It's -8 degrees with that wind chill, barely a factor at -10. Very foggy, very misty out there. Winds light out of the east, pressure falling, humidity sits at 94%. So yes, a good amount of fog has triggered fog advisories through much of southern Manitoba. Even though Winnipeg isn't included, we are still dealing with very dense conditions. However, we're going to be dealing with some clouds into the afternoon. There's a slight chance of some flurry activity, likely though we're staying dry. Lots of balmy conditions today and in the days to come. -5 degrees is our high. -13 is what's typical. That risk of flurries does persist overnight, still pretty minor. Skies remaining cloudy, temperatures dipping down to -10. Tomorrow, slightly cooler at -6, still well above seasonal. And we're going to be dealing with some sunshine once again. And it kind of sticks around through the week ahead. We lose a little bit of heat into the weekend, back below seasonal, but still that sunshine will cushion the blow nicely. We're going to take a break. Stay with us. Your Morning Winnipeg still to come.
Rooftop arrangements provided by Lacoste Garden Center. Salon services provided by Essentique Spa Salon.
Well, Catherine, here's a tip on how to make the most mundane chore fun and add lights. Yeah, this mom didn't realize until it was in the wash that her toddler's rain boots lit up, turned a boring laundry day into a dance party.
Brings you back to the club.
Oh, totally. Hopefully they work after that wash. Not everyone can boast of being a great performer like Catherine
Like me.
or like this frog. Stuffed green frog appears to know all the right moves thanks to its human friend. He's dancing to classical music and hitting elegant ballet poses. Pretty good.
No kidding.
Hitting all the spots. Well, we all know what it feels like to be tired and in no mood for small talks while working, just like this till operator.
I'm Aya. Oh, nice to meet you. You work here a long time? You're so busy.
The young girl is busy at the checkout counter of her grocery store.
Busy.
She appears too tired for any of her mom's small talk.
I guess she keeps
nice to meet you.
wiping away the sweat, like she's really
working hard. That does it for us. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.